All right, we are starting now for our 2024 Healthcare here at Walking on Water Ministry Forum. We thank God for what he's about to do. Thank God for the knowledge that he's given Dr. Sarescu, and he's going to be the presenter in this hour, and we are ready to receive. Dr. Sarescu, you are ready, sir?
As good as it gets.
All right, good. All right. Hey, well, we diving in. We're ready to receive. Thank you, Mother Karen, for you're going to be coming after him. All right. And we want to make this where if you have any, questions, please put in the thread. We're going to be monitoring those questions, and we're going to pause for Q&A when that time presents itself. Just want to say that all the information that's been given, this table is full of knowledge. This is 20 years of research with Dr. Sarescu, and we are just so excited about those that are here that's going to get the booklet. If you want it, amen, you can also have it as well. So let's get ready to receive.
That's actually the booklet of the PowerPoint slides, basically. Everything I'm showing you is going to be over there.
Okay, all right, awesome. All right, and so everything that's there is here. Okay. All right, you go pass them out. All right, we get started. Dr. Sarescu, it's in your hands, sir.
Well, good afternoon, and first of all, I would say it's an honor to be here, and I'm glad I have a chance to pass on the knowledge. They say knowledge is power, and I would like to see, really the goals are going to be three parts of this. One is, whatever I'm talking about, how wrong food can cause us to have diseases, actually causes both aging and diseases.
Aging.
We're going to talk about first what causes us to get old and get disease. The second part will be how to read labels, because not everything has a label. It's actually wrong food. We can find some useful information there too. And then last but not least, we're going to talk about actually how to do it, and particularly lifestyle changes, not just nutrition, but also exercise, community, church.
Yes.
And that's important. And doctors have a confession to make. Wendell Berry, who is a novelist, has said over 10 years ago, people are fed by the food industry, which pays no attention to health, and are treated by the health industry, which pays no attention to food. And one of the reasons why I'm here is actually we're trying to correct that. And if you were to look at, all the diseases that sooner or later are going to kill us, like heart disease, cancer, stroke, pneumonia, diabetes, Alzheimer's, if you look at how the frequency of this when you goes up with age, so it's almost non-existent when you are young, and it goes up to about 10,000 fold once you hit age 75 or 80. In other words, we get old, we also get sick, all right? And basically they come together. And the other way around, if you actually get sick of any of this that persists for years at a younger age, then you're actually getting older too in the same time. So the question is, what do aging and chronic diseases have in common? And what they have in common, here is a study where it showed that if you have any serious one organ kind of disease, okay, for example, heart, if you have heart problems, for every year you live with heart problems, you age 1 month faster. Okay? If you have lung is the worst, the lung disease, emphysema, COPD, people smoke, or they have issues with asthma, that's actually about 2 months. You lose 2 months for each year of life, for each year you have that disease. So the question is obvious, they cluster together, one brings on the other. The question is, an obvious something is causing them both to occur and then come together. And for example, the most probably common disease that is very little known by everybody, including in this room, I'm pretty sure, is actually what we call diabetes. Okay? Wow. Over half of us actually were not aware we have diabetes, and we could have had it for 10, 20 years. But if you get to be 65, if I put together the diabetes spectrum, what we call pre-diabetes and diabetes, 80% of us have diabetes, from which half don't know that. Okay? So it's an important deal. And so what I'm trying to say is almost every chronic disease, even you think, oh, when you have heart failure, I don't have diabetes, I only have lung problems, I don't have diabetes, I only have liver disease, I don't have diabetes. Well, 80% chances you do. You just don't know about it. Okay? So they come together, and you'll see why is diabetes important, because I can easily make a case that, okay, what's causing both chronic diseases and aging? Well, it's something that causes diabetes too. So what causes diabetes?
Wow.
Okay, well, we have two ways. One is type 1 diabetes. That's a problem when you genetically, when you're a kid, you have lost your pancreas and you know something killed it. Okay, so you can blame 10% of diabetes on the genes, but then 80-90% are not genes. So
Wow.
what causes that's called type 2 diabetes,
Wow.
and that's what I'm talking about. For anybody who's older than 20 who gets that type of diabetes. So then the question is, what causes type 2 diabetes? Any suggestion, any thought?
Food.
Wrong food, that's correct. So, what I'm trying to say is, it's something we do every day for our whole, 50, 60, 70, 80 years old life that also causes diabetes. So it's food. And basically, that's what we do every day. We have to eat. All right, so what's in the food that makes a difference? And here's what's in the food that makes a difference. When we eat, all the nutrients, whether we call them carbs, fats, or proteins, they have to go inside the cell. And inside the cell, we have these little, red bodies. They're called mitochondria. That's our oven, where everything that's food gets burned. And that makes the energy. It's called actually energy powerhouse. But it does lots more. What it does, it takes oxygen from air. It takes our carbs or proteins or fats. It burns them. It gives us energy. All right? So whatever I do with the food is actually up to the mitochondria to decide whether that's proper food or is the wrong food. So I just want you to know the name. We don't have to go in detail. And imagine you have anywhere between 100 up to 100,000 of these little organs inside the cell that they decide our cell fate based on the food that we feed our body with. All right? And that's, if they consider that's food, then we're good. If they consider that's not food, that's not good if it interferes with their function. So we like to, as physicians, we get ourselves confused too, because this is how we've been trained. We've been trained that, what's causing the heart disease. And we look at this big elephant, this heart disease, and we look first at the ear, and then we look at the tail, and we think with different companies that one little thing is going to explain everything. And now, for example, cardiovascular says, oh, don't worry, it's genetic, there's nothing you can do about it. Or you got diabetes, you got high blood pressure, you got stress, you got cholesterol that's bad, and lately you got obesity too, which is a serious issue. That's over 50% of people in this country and plenty of other countries. All right. So, but the reality, that's not how it works. If you just look at one little part of this animal and you try to extrapolate that now you know the whole body, that's actually wrong, because all these different parts are part of the same body. And what we need is more of a global integrated approach of the human health of disease. And what it is it's mitochondria, all right? And all I'm not trying to say is just think as that oven inside our cells that decide what to do with the nutrients, with the food, and with the oxygen from the environment, or if not pollutants from the environment. And think this mitochondria, which by the way, we inherited them from the mother. So if you have something, if you're sick and you got the wrong genes, you can blame it on the mother, but by itself it's not gonna do much, because mitochondria are like a big electrical Tesla batteries. Imagine the moment you're born, your mom gave you that, or actually the moment you were conceived, you have fresh young mitochondria. They create a big Tesla battery they're supposed to last about 500,000 miles. And then whatever we do in life with them, they divide. They're actually equivalent of, believe it or not, it's equivalent of per human of a whole huge electrical board. Okay, that's how much power that has in each and every one of us today. And then imagine that this battery starts to go down. Okay, and it can go, and that's how long we live. We cannot recharge it. Once you run those 500,000 miles, the electron stop, and you're done. So all these risk factors we talk about is how fast we discharge our battery from the mitochondria. That's how long we live. And theoretically, a human lifespan right now, in other words, everything is ideal and perfect. Each and every one of us is supposed to live about 120 years old. Okay? That's the most, at least so far we have document. It doesn't mean with time that may not improve, but as of now, that's the maximum we can live. Our lifespan has not changed. So how do we make the most out of this? Is the slope of how fast we discharge this battery. That's our mitochondrial health. And when we look at food, what is food? Food is something that, first of all, is what happens between the ground and the mouth. Okay? So you take something from some plants, vegetables, animals, food, you put it in the mouth, that's food. Then, and what you do to it. The second part is what's happening in the gut, the nutrition, what gets absorbed in our system. And last but not least is what happens inside the cells. Is all this purpose of food and nutrition is actually to provide our mitochondrial oven supply with carbohydrates, fats, or protein to burn, make energy, but at the same time create also substrate from that carbon to maintain our cells and renew them. Every 3 weeks we have a total new proteins. Every 2 weeks we have new mitochondria. All that requires this kind of substrate. So if you were to feed whole food home cooked foods, then they are processed, the mitochondria are happy. If you give them ultra processed food, guess what? We have poisons in that. The poisons are mitochondria, our oven. It's like suddenly you put there in your oven, suddenly it's smoking. It's like, wait a minute, I must have put something wrong, oil drop on it that is, soon the whole house is gonna blow, right? So that's what these poisons and chemicals do. And my job is today to show them off for you, show the data we have and how they get our disease. So if you have ultra processed, these 4 elements, fructose, which is from sugar, trans fats, which is from shortenings, Crisco, right? If you take any vegetable oil, which is actually seed oil, and you heat it up, that's when it gets poisonous to mitochondria. And alcohol, everybody knows that. So here is my suggestion. You already know about the alcohol. So you know alcohol is bad for us in high amounts and not used properly. But the same way alcohol works in our system is actually the same way the other trees that are very little known work from the, basically from the food that's that has a label. And that poisons our mitochondria, and that's why we get into trouble. And it's wear and tear, little by little. It doesn't kill us right away. Think this way, it's arsenic that's low dose. We don't get a high dose and we die right away. We get a low dose Roundup version that kills us little by little. Okay? That's why it's very difficult to identify. It's been going on for over 50 years since we switched to ultra-processed food and eating out. But we're getting some data, and I'll show you in the last 15 years, actually we're making some progress there. And what these 3 chemicals do other than alcohol is they actually make our mitochondria, they stop working to make ATP, and then they start to say, well, I have abundance. So actually mitochondria do 2 things. On one hand, burns the food, so we get the energy, what we call the ATP. In the same time, what's left over from burning, the carbon part structure, it's used to make fat for the cells. It's used to make proteins for the cells, so we get muscle. It's used to make our membranes in the cell. Well, so when we have those mitochondria, when they see this abundance, they say, wait a minute, we got too much going on. It's time to grow. Or what do I do with all this extra food? I'm going to start to store it. That's how we gain fat, first inside the cells and eventually outside. Then you start to grow. It's a stimulus saying, we have a lot. It's time for us to divide and conquer and share all this food, that excessive food we have. But that also causes what we call inflammation and oxidative stress. Is basically you're rusting inside. And that's this slow wear and tear accumulation and changing activity of mitochondria. We get disease and we get aging. So this is food, that's not food, what you see there. Okay? At least from the perspective of mitochondria. Mitochondria are the one who decides what's food and what's not. So now I'm going to talk about what I mean by ultra-processing. How do we create ultra-processed food? So what is ultra-processing and why do we like it so much? Alright? So here's the deal. I'm going to show you how we take kale, which is all whole foods, natural. It's superfood. There are fewer things that are actually healthier than that. And I'm going to we take it, we're going to replace, we're going to cut it down in small pieces. We're going to add some vegetable oils and some sugar to give some taste. We're going to heat it up at 325 to 450 degrees. Then, wait a minute, once I do that, that thing has no taste. All right, because I removed everything was nutrient that our brain knew how to know that's food. So if we were to do that, that's not going to work. So I'm going to add some ingredients to make it palatable. So what am I adding? I'm adding flavor enhancers. You're going to see that there are different names. Emulsifiers, which is important to give us some consistency of the food. Preservatives, we don't want bacteria in those, kale chips. And sweeteners, because you gotta have some sweet taste, otherwise you're not gonna eat it. Together, it's called for taste, smell, texture, palatability, but actually it's for addiction. Whoever designed this has to make sure you're gonna go back and get some more.
Wow.
And when you do that, guess what? Now, about this, actually they got this science of making anything that's a chip taste better and addict you. It's been known for at least 50, 60 years. They have scientists. It's only us, doctors at the other end, who were trying research to figure out why is this that is so toxic and addictive. But they knew this. Anybody in the food industry has been making this for 50 years. They already done the science 50 years before us. And they actually call it bliss point. A proper amount, a combination of sugar, fat. For example, for sugar, you need to have equivalent of 8 teaspoons of sugar. If I do that, you can put that in the cabbage, and then you can create a juice from that. You're gonna like the sour cabbage juice if you add in 8 teaspoons of sugar. You can't tell the difference. All right. But bottom line is that's called a bliss point. And why is that important? Because now I converted a beautiful, kale, healthy superfood into an ultra processed food, and it's called organic, and it is organic. Kale chips. And who would have thought kale chips could be bad for you? Well, I'm going to show you some data about that. And what happens is we forget that we destroy the food matrix while we're adding and heating up all that, because we destroy the natural antioxidants, phenolic compounds, everything vitamins is supposed to be. We oxidize. When we heat up anything, we oxidize. What does it mean, oxidation? It's basically the rusting of protein. You don't get your proteins like you thought, your carbs and your fats. You get the oxidized version, which is the rustic version of that. And that causes a problem for our mitochondria to process that. Okay? And then but also because they add all these fats, I put them together easy to remember, it makes you hungry and increased appetite. Basically, you eat chips, you drink water or soda, you eat chips, and you keep going. You don't never stop. Okay? And then that's what you get metabolic disease from. So I want to show you can convert anything that's healthy into this, what we call food, but it's actually, I'm going to show it to you that is actually not food according to our mitochondria. So here is what happens. Okay, how do I know? Look, this is nutrition facts from just kale itself. So this is a label. We have total fat is normally very low, 0.8 grams. There's a little vegetable kind of polyunsaturated fat. Saturated fat is 0.1. If you subtract from 0.8.1, it's only 0.7. That's what we call monounsaturated fat and polyunsaturated fat, which are essential fats that we want. There's a very little sodium. Total carbs is 15 grams, but from which 4 are fiber, which is healthy. Very little natural sugar. Just to have an idea, 1 teaspoon is 4 grams. So this is half a teaspoon in a regular serving of kale that you just put in your salad. All right? And they come with 5 grams of protein, believe it or not. Then let's look at the kale chips. Well, this is the kale chips. We move the total fat from 0.8 to 12. Notice that? That's about a 15-fold difference. Okay? And then the question is, what kind of fat? Well, saturated fat that everybody says is saturated fat, think solid like butter, think animal fat. And everybody says for the last 50 years, the guidelines tell us, well, saturated fat is the problem. No, it's not. You know why? Because you can heat it up and it doesn't get oxidized. It doesn't get, convert into the unhealthy part. So I'm more curious what doesn't say on the label. So, okay, well, the total fat is 12. Saturated fat is only 1.5. That means I got the 10.5 grams of fat that's unaccounted for. What would that be? Oh, I'll tell you what that is. Here is the organic part. See here? There. Organic sunflower seeds. That's where it's coming from. Why? Sunflower seeds have polyunsaturated fats. Those are essential fats. It's the liquid part, the vegetable oil version. Those are omega-6s. And here is the catch with them. They're healthy if you eat them raw. The moment they are exposed to oxygen or you heat them up, they become oxidized and they turn from a good guy into a very, very bad guy.
Wow.
For mitochondria.
Wow.
So it's the other guys, and you see, they don't talk on the labels about that. It's designed, why? Because we only talk about saturated fat being bad, which actually is wrong. It's not true. We have actually very little evidence about that. So then, of course, they add also sodium. So I got basically equivalent of 10.5 grams of basically sunflower oil there. Then they wasn't clear. I'm teaching you how you can see it. All right, and then how much is that? Well, 1 teaspoon is 4 grams. So let's do the math. 12.5 divided by 4. It's about 2.5 teaspoons of sunflower oil they put in it. That's how we got there. And that's when you heat that up at 400 degrees to make that crispy part of it, so we like it, the consistency. That's how we destroy the kale. Okay? All right. And then what about that? Well, we add a little salt too, just in case, because salt was the secret of a tasty food. Salt, sugar, and fat, right? And we're done. And we destroy everything those vitamins are. And they said, oh, we have vitamins here. No, these are not what we call bioavailable. They actually don't get into our system. That's nonsense. But that's the secret, okay? So I show you how we create the ultra-processed food, and this is what I have. I show you here a little formula, how we convert. Now suddenly, a per container, which is a small little bag, got 25 grams of fat. That was for a half a portion. You get saturated fat, don't worry about it. Unsaturated fat, that's the problem, 20 grams. So 20 grams divided by 4 is how many teaspoons of oil? 5. We got 5 teaspoons of oil if you eat this little bag of chips. And why is that bad? Well, here's why. I'm going to show you some data. 5 teaspoons of oil contain as many carcinogenic substances as equivalent if you're smoking 1 pack of cigarettes.
Wow.
So you just smoke a pack of cigarettes. I mean, right now, I'm going to take a cigarette, I'm going to light it up, and I'm going to start smoking in front of you. You can send me to jail. But that is tasting good. You don't have to worry about it. And you don't know why when you're 40, 50, 60, you got lung cancer, prostate cancer, breast cancer. But you like the chips, and they're convenient, comfortable, and addictive. So keep that in mind. See why I'm teaching you how to read the labels. So we look at the total carbs, we subtract the fiber, right? And then we divide by 4. That's your sugar. So 20 here, it's on the scale. 15 minus 4 is 11. Divided by 4, it's approximately 2.5 teaspoons of sugar. But this is slow release sugar. It's cellulose and some. While this one, you subtract where is your carbs. Don't look at the sugars. Look at the carbs. Total carb 8. 8 minus dietary fiber 3, 5. This one has 1 teaspoon and a quarter. Okay? All right. Oh, I'm sorry. We got to do a look at the whole bag. It's 4 grams. So it's 16 minus 7. It's 9. 9 divided. So you move from half a teaspoon to 2 teaspoons and a half of sugar here. And then fat, you look at total fat, you subtract the saturated fat. Saturated fat, just like fiber, it's neutral. You don't have to worry about that. Okay? So total fat minus saturated fat is 0.7 divided by 4 is it's 0.1 teaspoon. So I don't have to worry about the natural one. Here, 12 minus 1.5, it's 10.5 divided by 4 is 2.5 teaspoons of, it's looking at the big one. 25 minus 3, 22. 22 divided by 4, it's 5 teaspoons of oil, sunflower, which is equivalent, like you are smoking a pack of cigarettes.
Wow.
Okay? So, keep that in mind. All right. So let's go further. So that's basically, and really the people who are actually doing the groundwork, Dr. Lustig, who is at University of California in San Francisco, everything I tell you is not from me. You're as smart as the people you read from. He's the one who's done a lot of this research, and he pretty much, in a recent review article, he's got plenty of other research papers, been doing this for at least 40 years. He talks about obesogens as a unifying theory for the global rise in obesity, but it's caused 80% by what we eat, what we call Western diet, ultra-processed food. It's very high in, again, the liquid oils, the vegetable oils, omega-6, and high sugar, high fructose, high salt, low fiber, because we destroy the fiber once you put it on you create a smoothie, or when you try to do a juice, you just kill the insoluble fiber. And that's what really protects us, and it's food for healthy bacteria in the gut. And that's why you want to eat the fruit or your veggie. You don't want to smooth it or juice it. Okay? So any new products, they tell you it's organic, it's healthy, and if it's a liquid, stay away from it. Okay, what ingredients does it have? It has this fruit, that fruit, fine, go and eat that. Okay? And then you can do the same. But 20% of the problem is the actual bisogens or air pollutants, chemicals that just come with it, whether you like it or not. All right? Things like, it's called BPA, bisphenol A, phthalates, PFAS, parabens. Where are those? These are preservatives, because you don't want bisphenol A. It's in anything that's plastic. It's actually the thermal paper from your receipt from the cashiers, from Publix or whatever it is. They get very frustrated with me because I never get my receipt back. I said, no, I just throw it away. But that's another source. Phthalates are, also they are plasticizers. They're used a lot in cosmetics. You see here how they are present in paper bags, molded fiber balls, single-use plates. They've been associated with, they are endocrine disruptors. They look like estrogens in our own system and makes us, kids, there is some associations with girls having early, starting early their puberty because of that. Because it makes it look like, okay, it's time to have puberty at age 9, which we know has occurred at least 3-4 years earlier now compared to what it was when we grew up. And those are part of that. It's associated with breast cancer. Pesticides, I don't have to say much about it. We kind of know that. But it's, probably the biggest and more worrisome pesticides is now glyphosate, the Roundup. Why? Because you put vegetable oil, okay, and sugar in everything that has a bag to give the taste. But where's the vegetable oil coming from? From the soy fields, where they come from corn. Well, how do you grow the corn and the soy all over the country? With Roundup. And it goes into the plants, then we extract the oil and the sugar, we put it in and that's how it ends up in our food. So, and it stays forever, you can't kill it. And then, then we don't know what happens. And they work by causing mitochondrial damage. They disrupt our internal oven, like I mentioned about that. And and chewing gum.
Oh.
Good luck.
Oh.
Why? Because we always have to put something in our mouth, right? All right. Good luck. Yeah. I talk about the invoices and receipts. I stay away from that. The thermal printed paper. And it's in toys, in catheters, in the hospital that we put in our body. And a bigger problem for our ladies in cosmetics. Everything you put on your face, any lotion, they cannot do and create that to sit on your face without adding one form or another of those. And they absorb through your skin. That's why they work and they create the pretty part. And then they stay with you forever. And phthalates, in every cosmetic product. That's why women are way more likely to get sicker from these chronic diseases and morbid than men. Okay? Now, it doesn't mean men don't ever use it, but way, way, way less. All right?
Wow.
And then, so these are just the chemicals that come, what we call obesogens. They come with everything that we become a daily practice for us. But what about the ingredients that give us the taste? Fructose. Fructose is the chemical that looks like glucose, gives the sweet taste of anything. All right. Then we have linoleic acid. I want you to learn that name. Is the part from the vegetable oil that's an essential fat for us. But once you extract it and you expose to heat and oxygen, becomes, I should call it oxidized linoleic acid. Then that's where we get into trouble. Okay. Sweeteners. Every version of sweeteners. It's a disaster for our body. Well, we've had this study for many years. It's supposed to, it's okay, you can use diet soda, whatever version of it. Well, guess what? For 50 years we've been trying to prove and use that for people who are obese to try to lose weight, or people who have diabetes, try to fix their diabetes. It doesn't work. As a matter of fact, you gain fat more and more. So why? Because anything that's sweet, once it hits our palate, as soon as your mind says this is sweet, it releases insulin from the brain, goes to the pancreas, releases insulin. Insulin is the storage hormones that makes you gain weight. And basically, it's like you just send a text message to your body, please continue to store and fatten up. That's what it is. Winter is coming, and you may not have food in the winter, and you need to store everything you just ate. Okay? And then we have the emulsifiers. These are a bigger disaster, and the main reason, cargene, carboxycellulose, the main reason is what are they? Soaps. So you put that in your gut, and what they do, they cause you leaky gut. So your gut is no longer be able to physically protect you from the sewer that's inside the gut. All that can then translate, go into your system, to the bloodstream. People get infections, and they don't know how. Okay, but also causes diabetes and what we call metabolic syndrome. So we got a problem. And why do they need an emulsifier? Well, you want that texture. Anything that's texture, the chewing gum needs that. Otherwise, I don't like the texture. You ain't gonna touch it. So they got that down to the science. Okay, and I call them these food additives, FEPs, flavor enhancer. If it says this is so and so for flavor enhancing, stay away from that. If it's emulsifier, preservative, and sweetener, any version, disaster. Doesn't matter if it's sugar-based or not. So overall, Dr. Leslie put all this together, and you can stay away from it. I understand. I'll have to use the electronic equipment right now, However, I can control my food, and that's what we can do. Where is most of the problem? And there are a lot of other things I can control, but besides, also I may be able to reduce the cosmetics. All these organic cosmetics, there is no free ride. If they create something that's supposed to go on your skin and absorb through your skin, they have to use these compounds. So the only way you can protect yourself, the less you use, the better. Okay? And of course, I was talking about this is really not a scientific paper. I don't know how reliable it is, but they measure the Roundup in. These are the standard chains. And by the way, one is not, I don't want to point one to one or another, because it's not their fault. They don't know that it goes into your vegetable oil they used to fry the food. They don't know it goes into your sugar that comes from the corn that was on the field that seen glyphosate that stays there for 15 years. All right? And that's how we get it. All right? And guess what? Here is what I'm more concerned about. Because if you do that to somebody who's older like me, I'm 55, okay, what's the consequence? I'm just harming myself. Yeah, that's a bit tough. I still want to live, right? But again, if I die or I hurt myself, it's just only me. I mean, it could be a burden to society because I got to go to the hospital. Somebody has to pay for that. But what if you are a woman who is pregnant? Look what happens, the consequence of this ultra-processed food. Not only on the woman herself, who is more likely to get gestational diabetes and high blood pressure and everything else after that. Why? But especially for the baby after that. More likely, children will get 20% more likely they're going to get diabetes, obesity, high blood pressure, and autism. We had all this, fear. Vaccines cause autism, which turns out is a nonsense. People publish that data that turns out they fake it. But we don't have a fear this causing autism, which is a problem with mitochondria. Okay, so it's a big problem. You are setting up your kid for the next, and it turns out the impact, at least in animal studies, are up to 3 generations. So we need to be responsible not just for ourselves, but also for what comes after us, particularly with all the work we do. And that's why I think future moms need to know this. It's been associated with preeclampsia, high blood pressure. I say, we call it, there is a thing now. I'm patients and I want to lose weight, I need to go on diet. And it's like, wait a minute, I'm missing something. So what kind of diet do you want? Well, I don't know, keto, Mediterranean, whatever you tell me, low carb diet. And I said, wait a minute. That is not a diet. Here's what this diet. This is ultra-processed food diet. That's what you've been eating. How about you stop the ultra-processed food diet and start eating real food? And let's start with that. We're doing the other one. We call the real food diet, but we are not calling the junk food diet, which that's what it is. You've been all your life on that. Maybe you've been even before. And, newborns, okay? You could blame it. We say, well, it's very simple. Exercise more, eat less. Well, why are newborns fat? They haven't eaten. No. They haven't started yet to exercise or eat. They've been sitting there. They haven't done anything. Why are they overweight? Why do they get disease? Newborns. Did you know the biggest epidemic right now of obesity is actually not in grown-ups. It's actually newborns. Just came out of mom's belly. So that has not, this theory you exercise more and eat less is total nonsense. Doesn't mean exercising may not help, but that's not the cause. The cause is what mom ate. Pretty obvious. Poison. Alright? And this is just showing you this. We did this in mice and rats. We know that if you feed them with basically equivalent of a burger a day and a soda a day and sugary stuff, while they're pregnant, we call this high fructose. Fructose is basically half of the sugar has glucose and fructose. Fructose is the one that gives the taste, but it's the one that also blocks the mitochondria. It's like Cain and Abel. Fructose tells the mitochondria, don't use glucose, don't burn it, I need you to store it because winter is coming. Okay? So fructose gives the sweet taste, and you do that to the mice and rats who are pregnant, then the next 3 generations of the mice and rats will have high blood pressure, will be obese, and they get diabetes more likely than before. 3 generations. Now that's in animals, but we are not mice, we are not rats. Yeah, they're just more sensitive than us. That's it. Because they have fewer mitochondria, so they're harder for them to cope with that. That's why they're a great model. But we have equivalent now studies showing correlation in humans too. All right? And when he gets to that, he said, how come? Wait a minute, you're telling me that I thought high blood pressure, diabetes, it's all genetic, right? And I get this all the time. I have sometimes patients who, I see 3 different generations. I'm not kidding you. Grandma, mom, and daughter. And they say, obviously we have diabetes and we are obese because it runs in the family. I say, yeah, in the family you eat the same. Okay? And why? Because there's a difference between genes and epigenetic regulation. There's genetic and epigenetic. What does it mean? Is my genes are there. Some of them are good, some of them are bad. As a matter of fact, most of them are actually, no matter how you turn, they're all good genes, but they're good depending on the environment, the food you take. For example, if I were to live 10,000 years ago and I got on a boat and the next stop will be 4 weeks later from the boat, then actually have the diabetes genes helps you to store very fast, gain weight very fast, and then be able to survive prolonged fasting. So there were actually good genes back then. As a matter of fact, our body adapted us to have genes only to protect us against starvation. But we don't have genes to protect us against too much. Okay, too much food, and particularly the wrong one. All right? And that's called epigenetic. In other words, genes don't express unless you give them certain nutrients and certain chemicals from the environment, which turns on the genes or turns them off. That's called epigenetic regulation. So basically what happens is if mom eats a lot of sugar and a lot of muffins and cookies and cakes and burgers, in other words, the oxidized vegetable oil part, then that sends a signal to the baby and says, hey, you're growing up in a lot of food abundance. Time for you to grow. And it turns their gene on to have more of those expressed, preparing for abundance of food when they grow up. So yes, mom had that signal and is sensitive to that. But the same way, once they are born, doesn't mean we cannot turn them off once we remove those poisons from our diet. And that's important. Why? Because I'm telling you now, it is not true that genes have to be your fate. Yes, it shows you a certain predisposition. In 10% of us, no matter what we do, genes are our fate. But 90% is not. As a matter of fact, we can turn them off and on depending what we feed our body with. And why is that important? So exposure is called exposure to food, environment, air. Stress can turn genes off to get diabetes too. Everybody knows, well, I'm getting overweight and I stress it. Yeah, big deal. That's part of the environment. So these are called not genetic genes, but epigenetic. That means things from outside that turn on and off genes. and by food and the environment. And that's what actually gives us our fate as an organism and as a person too, because if you have a lot of stress, you have very poor community support to help you protect from the stress, you sleep very little, less than 4 hours a night, then you got a problem, because it doesn't matter what you eat and what you do. You're going to turn on the wrong genes, and long term is going to kill you, okay? And why is that important? Because if I tell you it's all genetic, then there's nothing you can do about it. This is Napoleon who knew he was going to lose the fight, okay? Well, what if I tell you, no, you can turn them on and off, depending what you eat, depending how you manage yourself, depending how you go to church and believe, and you work with community and makes you feel good, then I would say this, hey, true, 10% could be a problem, but 90%, knowledge is power, information is liberating, education is the premise though. The only tool I can give you right now is education. And that can make a huge difference so you don't express the wrong genes and you can turn them back off and say, you know what, we're actually hungry and we're going to stay hungry because I want the diabetes genes to go away, okay? And there are ways how to do that without being hungry. I'm just saying, turn it so they don't get that. And bottom line is, the food that we eat nowadays that's in labels or you eat in the fast food chain, they're toxic. They're toxic because they block our mitochondria from doing their job as oven, all right? And here's the scary part. I told you about pregnant women. It's very important. Please pass on the message. And of course, you can't say no to a pregnant woman wants to eat something. But she, if she's educated, maybe she can guide herself. You know what? Do you want to, I feel like I want a glass of orange juice right now. Fine, go and eat your orange. There are always ways how you can still satisfy, but eat real food, okay? Why? Because look what happens now. If you grow up in this country now, 62% of our food intake across the country is from ultra-processed food. That means we don't cook that food. Somebody else cooks it, and you don't know what they do to it, but they heat it up at high temperature, use vegetable oils and sugar, and that's how we get sick. All right? Why? Because that's the cheapest way. Why is vegetable oils cheap? I mean, who pays for the soy, the cornfields? Farmers make it, yeah, but they get government subsidies, so the companies are super happy to use that. And the sugar comes from high fructose corn syrup, which comes from corn, which is again subsidies. So companies love that, because what if you were to buy butter to replace the vegetable oil, will cost them 5 times more? And it's it. It's a financial decision. It's nothing to do with anything else. But here's my problem. 62% of us, of our food intake across the country is, and where England, Great Britain is right next to it, all the other countries are way lower. Guess what? We are the sickest too. No matter how much money, although we are the richest country in the world, and we put the most of our GDP into the healthcare, it's close to 20% now, and it's unsustainable. And yet we put so much money, and we're actually the sickest. And we're the sickest because of this. Because 62% of all our food we put in our mouth is ultra-processed food. But the scary part is the teenagers, 70%. They go to Starbucks, they found different ways. And 90% of all added sugars in the diet is actually from ultra-processed food. So, let me put this together. You got an idea, okay? I told you we got chronic diseases, and 90% of us, only less than 1 out of 10, are actually healthy in this room right now. Just statistically speaking, all right? Usually the younger one, but you never know, okay? 2 is the part of absolute requirement of getting old the wrong way faster and getting these chronic diseases. You have some form of prediabetes or diabetes. 3, mitochondria are poisoned by the ultra-processed food. That's what ultra-processed food do, because they block our oven that we have inside the cell, all right? And then, let me put it together how we get all sick, all right? Here is what happens, just some national data. In the 70s, only 2.7% of us had diabetes. Most of them, diabetes used to be disease of old folks. Now, we define here old 65. It's not necessarily old, but I'm just saying. They just use that as a cutoff. I'm 56, so I'll be very soon there. But diabetes in somebody younger than 65 was almost non-existent. I mean, I could have published this in Guinness Book back then if I found it. All right? And then what happens now, 2024? Well, we are now, you see how it shifted from almost 100% older than 65, now 60% younger than 65. We move into young. So what happens if you get diabetes in young age? That means you're getting old faster, because diabetes brings old age. Okay? All right? And half of us are unaware. So that's number one that happened. We move everything to much younger. Number two is we also have two new conditions that never existed in children before. Okay? One is called fatty liver, and the other one is called type 2 diabetes, not the one that's genetic, type 1. Type 2 diabetes. This condition, prior to 1990s, did not exist in children. Okay? Now, fatty liver, before 1990s, if you had it, you were an alcoholic. And you come to doctor back then in 90 and I see fatty liver and I diagnose it, I'll say, okay man, you need to reduce the booze, you know. Or, you know, viruses like hepatitis C now is number 2, but we're fixing that now with good therapies. So it's still alcohol. And then so the question is, why would 25%, 1 out of 4 kids now at age 5 will have fatty liver? They don't drink alcohol, unless they cheat and we don't know about it, but I doubt. So but what's that alcohol? Sugar is that alcohol. And vegetable oil from fast food, burgers, sausages, all right, you name it. That's what it is. Because they don't drink alcohol. So I want you from now on, when you look at this food, you give the glass of orange juice to your children or grandchildren, just know you're giving them equivalent. You just made them smoke a pack of cigarettes. With each of that little serving. Oh, I just squeezed the orange juice. Yeah, well, yeah. But you just killed the fiber. Fiber was there from the fruit to bind the sugar so it doesn't get in our system. It's food for bacteria. But once you kill the fiber because you made the juice, you just release all that fructose and sugar to get into your system. All right? I'm not talking about sodas and something else. So think about this. Each time you give them a glass of orange juice, or you give them a burger, or fried French fries, they use vegetable oil to fry with, you're giving them a pack of cigarettes. You just made them smoke that. And that accumulates, and that, when first station is from the gut, it's in the liver, it gets oxidized, that's why they get fatty liver, and diabetes, it comes together. Okay? Why? Because, liver thinks, oh, we have food abundance. We're going to store. So they start storing first all that food into the liver first. And then he said, okay, well, what else can I do? Well, I can't store just by myself. Well, we have a professional storage organ in the body. Does anybody know which one is that? What organ in our body does that for a living, to store fat? The fat tissue. So then we start to get subcutaneous fat. But how does the fat know, how does the subcutaneous fat know, the cells, that they need to store? Well, liver makes the pancreas release insulin. Insulin is our storage hormone. Insulin goes up. Oh, I get diabetes in the same time. Didn't you say that that's what high insulin does? Yes. That's why fatty liver comes together with fattening in general and with diabetes. And is aging our kids way faster. Okay? And they're the kids today who get diabetes and we don't know about, we see them, they grow big and we think, oh, it's just kids, they'll overcome this. Yes or no? Until you check it, you don't know. We got to the point that they have. So what do we do now? You come to doctors. Hey, I got a solution. Don't worry. Your kid is addicted to the fast food. Fine. Or the sugar it drinks and stuff. Fine. Well, we'll give them Ozempic. Guess what? It's approved now for kids 12 years and older. And they are doing the study for kids 5 to 12 years. But is that going to fix the issue? With side effects that are not. By the way, once you take it, the only way you stay in the same weight is you have to continue forever. Okay? It's like you're an insulin type 1 diabetic. All right? But is that fixing the issue? No, the issue is what you put in your mouth. That's not fixing the ultra-processed food. So please start working on your kids and start to be firm, because now you have the knowledge, and educate everybody about that. Because that's where we are right now, and it's a basic problem. So what I'm trying to say is not one elephant in the room that is the cause of all cardiovascular diseases and Alzheimer's and cancer. There are 3 elephants. The biggest elephant is really this big one in the back is basically these 3 products: fructose, seed oils, and obesogens. I told you about the plastics, the carrageenans, the FEPs, and all that. That makes our liver to perceive abundance, and it says we need to store. and you get fatty liver, and then it tells through increased insulin, then it makes you release insulin, and then we start. So each time you find yourself, you're growing in weight, your insulin is up, you're on the way to getting fatty liver, and all those conditions after 10, 20, 30 years that I talk about. Okay? And when I have my patient come to us, like, man, you gain weight. They're like, everybody's so, just don't talk about my weight. I said, fine, I don't want to talk about your weight, but to me, it's telling me whatever you're eating and whatever lack of exercise you're doing and whatever stress you have in your life is releasing all that as we speak. And you're just becoming more metabolic and healthy. I'm concerned about what's inside your body, not what's outside, because I know that's occurring. Okay? All right. So that's what the evidence shows about ultra-processed food. This is in the last 15 years. The fructose, the sweet part from sugar, omega-60s, linoleic acid from vegetable oils, independent of its calories, that's got nothing to do with burning anything. All right? It sends a text message to our mitochondria, and then that poisons them, and it tells them, you need to store everything I'm giving you today. And that's why that happens. And that makes you what? If you store all that, where's the food going? It's not going to the brain, because it goes all into the fat. So the brain is hungry all the time, so you're actually starving up here, you're starving in your muscles, but the food goes all into the storage. It's like, winter's coming, you gotta prepare it. It's like I send you money to pay your mortgage, but it goes to the bank, and the bank says, no, this is in 20 years from now when you're gonna use it, not right now. You're still poor and can't pay your mortgage. It's the same thing. That's why you're hungry all the time. And this is pretty much, and then eventually, after 10, 20, 30 years of this, insulin has been high in the background, you're gaining weight in the background, then eventually your blood sugar spikes. We define that diabetes now, the type 2, but it's 30 years later. When the sugar starts to go up and we know we have diabetes, it's already late. It's the advanced stage. I call that stage 4 diabetes. We shouldn't measure it that way. The truth is, your body's been seeing diabetes for a long time, and there's a way of knowing. If this is some MRI, you don't need to memorize that, but we can see fat in the liver with the MRI, and this is a subcutaneous fat tissue. This is Dr. Lustig mentioned with research of Dr. Jimmy Bell from London. But basically, if it's black, there is no fat, so you want the liver to be black. And then if it's white, then it's got a lot of fat in the liver. We can quantify 24% of this liver has been replaced. And you see, they have the same obesity, if you will, or subcutaneous. They have the same, subcutaneous tissue here. But this one is going to die. This one is going to live. It's just a little overweight and chubby, but healthy. No problem. Okay? And then here is the skinny version. You see how much little you have here? Subcutaneous fat. But look at the liver. It lights up the same way white, just like even if you are thin. We call these morbidly obese. Morbidly means you have fatty liver and you have disease and you have diabetes. These we call morbidly obese or morbidly thin. Thin outside, fat inside. That's me. So some of us are designed that we accumulate fat first inside and then outside, and some get it first outside, and actually that's protective, that you can put it outside first so it's not inside. But either way, it's what's happening inside that matters in our liver. And basically, we have all kinds of versions. And basically, the liver and the fat, it's only even a pound you accumulate, which the scale will not tell you, you can get fatty liver, and you're sick, so you wouldn't know about it. The visceral fat, which is here in your abdomen, it's actually caused by stress. Okay, it's got nothing to do with anything else. All right, and this is work from Dr. Lustig, who basically look at women who are depressed. They got into the hospital, they measured the weight and the visceral fat before and after. They got treatment for depression. And the ones who their depression got worse, although their weight was going down because they were not eating, their actually visceral fat was going up. And then once their depression got treated with, with either medicines or stress emotional support, then they actually, visceral fat started to get better and they start to gain weight, to grow real weight. So that's caused by that. And then you have the subcutaneous fat that everybody pays attention. It's easy to see it, right? But you see, to get fatty liver, you have to gain 22 pounds outside before you get fatty liver. Actually, it's protecting us. It's when you get just 5 pounds in visceral, it causes fatty liver, and you only need 1 pound to actually cause diabetes in that. But this is what I was telling you about metabolic syndrome. If we measure that, we define that 3 out of 5, LDL cholesterol normal, triglycerides are normal, high blood pressure, hypoglycemia, that means you have pre-diabetes, but you don't have diabetes yet, and central obesity. If you have 3 out of 5, I put here there were 88% that are unhealthy. Turns out now we are up to 92%, which is less than 8% of us are metabolic healthy, as a few years ago. And yes, being obese is a problem because you have 3-fold higher risk of cancer, cardiovascular disease, Alzheimer's disease. It comes together. See, this is what I call chronic illness. When you think, oh, I'm just a little overweight and I'll deal with it later tomorrow, but if you already have metabolic syndrome, your insulin is up, that sets you up for all these 3, not just from 1. Okay? You're just a little obese today, but tomorrow, 10, 20, 30 years from now, you're going to get, if you're a woman, breast cancer, if you're a man, prostate cancer, lung cancers, or you can get Alzheimer's. Women in this country, 1 out of 5 risk of Alzheimer's. That means 1 out of 5 women who are present right now in the womb will get Alzheimer's by the time they hit to be 70 or 80. Men is 1 out of 10. Women twice more likely than men. But Alzheimer's is also caused, for 80% of Alzheimer's is called diabetes of the brain. It's the same mechanism. And it's preventable. Okay? And guess what? That's exactly what we see. Yes, being overweight, it's a marker for being sicker later on. But actually, it's the insulin resistance, pre-diabetes, and type 2 diabetes. You see, there are 4 stages of diabetes. First, the insulin goes up when you start to gain weight. Second, the insulin stays so high from pancreas that your cells start to be resistant to it. And it needs to be higher and higher, and your pancreas works in overload. 3, you start to get pre-diabetes, and if you've been tested, your doctor may have told you that. We measure that as a glucose level more than 105 when if you are fasting, but less than 120, which will make you pure diabetic. Or your hemoglobin A1C will be between 5.7 and 6.3. I don't know if you're aware of that. But I think and only when full-blown diabetes is only the advanced stages. But truth is, all this has been going on for 10, 20, 30 years, and nobody measures the blood test to figure that out, nor, we go, because why? Why would you go to the doctor or be curious about it? I'm just getting a little weight. I know how to put it down. I'll work on it. And you don't think that comes with diabetes already in you. And, at 20, we think we're invincible, right? At 30, we start to pay attention because we got kids. At 40, it's like, what am I doing? I'm getting tired. And then 50, say, you start thinking about retirement. But I notice most of my audience, I can't, even my colleagues, doctors, when I try to explain this, I don't ever get any hello when you look on the YouTube channel from anybody who's younger than 40. But most of the people who are interested is always, older. The fun part is, although it's still helping, you're already 20, 30 years advanced in disease if you don't start in your 10, 15, and 20s now. Because I just show you the data. Diabetes is a disease of the young people now, not the old folks. Okay? As you make it to be old, that means you must have done something right. You don't make it to be old, you're in trouble. You think you're going to be old one day, but you may not be. Alright? That's why I don't like this term pre-diabetes, because, I tell my patient you got pre-diabetes. What does it mean? You may or may not get diabetes, right? So if I were the patient, one message I guess, okay, all right, we'll see if I get diabetes, I'll see what I'm going to do about it. Instead of telling you that you got to start working with food because you're on the way to diabetes, how doctors, define it. But doctors define diabetes only if I can give you insulin. But that's not the true definition of diabetes. The true definition of diabetes is once our mitochondria, our cells are seeing it with high insulin. And we can fix that with food. So no, there is no pre-diabetes. I'm going to tell you this. Elevated insulin, that means you gain 5 pounds, you got stage 1 diabetes. Insulin resistance, you gain 20 pounds, you got stage 2 diabetes. Pre-diabetes, you gain 30 pounds and your now the glucose starts to be abnormal, that's stage 3. And what doctors say is full-blown diabetes, that's stage 4. That's end stage. Are you going to wait until then? So if I tell you that, just like we do with the kidneys, anybody has family members who are on dialysis, they call it stage 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. When it gets to 5, they're on dialysis. So as soon as they're 3, people start worrying about why? Because we all have seen what dialysis is. But that's the idea. This is what I want you to think about. Being overweight is not a problem that you're overweight. It's a problem that what you're doing to your body is releasing insulin and is telling you you're becoming metabolic unhealthy. And that's what matters. And that brings, high insulin brings, what else does it bring? Here's what it brings. All right? Insulin resistance brings fat storage, okay, which we can see and we can check our scale. Makes you retain sodium and water and get high blood pressure and congestive heart failure. That's the insulin resistance I was telling you about. Why? It tells the kidney to retain salt and water. All right? It causes you, insulin is also a growth factor. You see why I show here like a balance? Why? Because insulin normally is supposed to tell your cells to burn the glucose. That in the mitochondria is a healthy relationship. Well, guess what? The more insulin you have, you change from burning the glucose to storing it. And insulin is also a very potent growth factor. It's the single, you grow fat, you grow everything else. The cells start to divide, and there are two natural states. Why would insulin do that? Because we have two natural states when we absolutely need that insulin to do that. One is when we grow as children and at puberty, we actually have diabetes, temporary, that Mother Nature designed to flatten up and grow, fatten up fast so we can have support for the growth. But also but then it's turned off after puberty, unless you give the wrong food that keeps going on and stimulates the insulin. And then the second physiologic healthy state of having high insulin is pregnancy, because the mom has to feed too. It makes sense. But again, you're not pregnant forever. It's supposed to go away after 9 months, okay? And so anyway, this insulin being up causes us to grow not only the fat, makes us our kidney to retain salt and water. You get high blood pressure and heart failure. You can get heart attack because you start growing inside the arteries, cholesterol depositions and cells and all that, and gets narrow. And the worst abnormal growth that happens 10, 20, 30 years later is cancer. Okay? And you'll see all my patients, if I've seen them for 20, 30 years, eventually I fix their heart, then it comes the cancer, then it comes the Alzheimer's. They all come together. Except that you smoke when you're in your 20s, you quit when you're in your 40s, and then you get the lung cancer. It takes that long. Body remembers in your 60s or 70s. So, but also messes up our brain too. Not just abnormal growth, but high insulin and insulin resistance in the brain. It's a nightmare for the brain. Long term, by 80, if you ever get there, you get dementia. But that's the least of our problem. It makes you be addicted to food, and you can't quit eating anything that's sweet or with sugar. It causes in kids ADHD. You have kids with ADD. Actually, poor outcomes on school, are unable to study, major problem, and of course causes depression and increased suicidal ideation. So it messes up not only our inside that we store, but actually our brain suffers because it's actually starving and causing all that, okay? So and I just put this all together. If you look over 10, 20, 30 years, you start with metabolic syndrome, which is now at 92%. Once you start to gain weight, which you don't want to, your insulin goes up, then you get fatty liver, then you get stage 3 diabetes, which is pre-diabetes, then stage 4 type 2 diabetes. But why? Because all this require insulin. And insulin in the background on your cells tell them to divide, proliferate, store, and steal the food from the brain and from the muscles and give it to the organs they can store. Professional hoarders, which are our fat cells, and liver itself, which eventually gets sick too, because it's not a professional hoarder, okay? And yeah, it causes our bad cholesterol too, and you get then eventually heart attack. And which one comes first? It depends on how much of the food, how fast, how strong genetically resistant to that you are. And but most of the time it will be high blood pressure maybe first, but then it could be heart attack first. It doesn't matter, okay? But eventually you get all of them. Kidney failure, heart failure, because everything is associated with diabetes, which is the main reason. Does this make any sense? Is this, you think, relevant, or am I going too fast? Okay, good. What?
I'm joking. Depressing.
I am telling the facts. Knowledge is power. I'm sharing the facts with you. That's all. And you can decide whatever you like with it. And yes, I've been seeing this now. In a year, I'll be 30 years since I'm practicing medicine, and I see it too often. And you can I can't say the word because I can't tell your name, right? Because we're recording. Are you sure? Okay. I don't know. No. That's But I've known Tamisha now for how long, Tamisha?
20 years.
20. Okay. And I promise you that she's heard this for 20 years. And only in the last 2 years it made the difference. Okay? And it's so hard to get the message across. So then I decided I'm going to be just blunt, and tell the truth. This is what I see every day in the hospital. Because you get sick and you come in the hospital, and our hospital is actually not designed to take care of these conditions. These are chronic illnesses. It takes 10, 20, 30 years. So then the hospital you come, you think, oh, it's going to fix my diabetes, it's going to fix my cancer, it's going to fix my heart failure. No. What I do, I put a very expensive Band-Aid on top of a gushing wound. I might stitch it a little bit. Band-Aid can have a lot of side effects, can cost a lot, causes you to have to go to the doctor many times, pain, serious pain. How long sometimes takes you to wait for me, all right?
A long time.
Could be 2. I have patients 3 hours.
3 hours.
And because I'm overbooked, I could work 24 hours around the clock for another 100 years, and I got plenty of business. And the sad part is I can't fix anything while you see me in the clinic, nor in the hospital. We're not designed for that. This is what we need to know. You are doing the work at home, but you have to understand. Okay? So, all right. So that's what I mean. Knowledge is power. It's an ugly truth. It hurts. But we're all grown up. One day they'll process and say, wait a minute, there's something I can do. If I'm not doing it for me, I'm going to do it for my children, for my grandchildren. I'm going to do. And we have to all do it together. That's why I said to Misha, when she tries on her own, it's extremely difficult. If we come here, trust me, we go to our Romanian church the same way. And boy, the food that is there at lunch, after we are done, my God, I mean, if you want to get full-blown diabetes in a year, that's what you do. Okay? Right, so how are you going to say no? Because you've been fasting the whole night a lot of times. You go in there, you listen to for somebody preaching for 2 hours, which is, I know it's food for the mind, but eventually this stomach is going to ask for its rights. And then you hit that. It's a problem. So then I need the community and everybody around her to know, everybody little by little to change, and then it will be easier for her. Because then you all eat much, better quality. Then she won't have to tell, I'm hungry all the time. I say, yeah, you go to church and they have that food there. What are you going to do? I will eat it too. All right. So bottom line is, it starts with fatty liver. Don't worry about, I don't care whether you gain weight outside and you see it. And that concerns you. And yes, I do care because I'm empathetic to how you feel about that. But this is a disease. I don't see it as, and you should see it as a disease, not as how I look and what's happening to me. If you care about your survival in the long term. And it really breaks my heart. I don't see children. Pediatricians see children, but you'll be surprised what's in the literature and how concerned they are about what's happening to our kids. 45% of adults have fatty liver, and half of us, and don't know about it. 25, 1 out of 4 kids. Many kids get liver transplant from that, and they get a second liver transplant from that, which is all just cutting the soda that makes the difference in the price. Okay, big deal. And it's 3.5-fold increase for type 2 diabetes. Excuse me. Should have turned this off. But
Can we ask a question?
yes, please do.
So fatty liver, the fatty liver now that we're seeing, that you're saying, is coming from sugar. Is that what you're saying? Am I confused?
Sugar and vegetable oils.
Okay.
These are the two
Vegetable
that
oil.
I'll talk about. They're actually, and the other one is what we call trans fats, which has been banned by FDA, but is still present in shortenings, Crisco shortening. You can find it still. You can buy it. All right.
So
And
the
then
kale chip.
and alcohol is another one. These are the big 4.
And the kale chip, when you had that presentation earlier, you said when the heat is on it, is that baked or any type of, does it matter if the kale is baked?
We're going to talk about
Oh,
that. And just so you know, what you see here, the purpose of what I'm doing today, I'm not going to be able to go in much details.
Right.
It's just eye-opening.
Yes.
But I have a full 4 hours and a half nutrition lecture where I go in excruciating detail about all those questions you're asking.
Okay.
That's recorded on YouTube, and and I'll show you there. It's on the handout too, so you can always just go there and watch it, no problem. with all those questions, okay?
And one
How about
more-
energy drinks? Because I see
Yeah,
some uprising
yeah, it's the
younger
same.
generation.
Yeah, it's a disaster. Yeah, it's the same. No different. Everything I just showed you. Yeah, no difference. Yeah. We'll go some more.
So one last one.
Yeah,
The high fructose, I noticed in the bread the other day at the store, it's in everything. So,
that's right.
so
what are
you
you gonna
have to
do?
make changes.
That's
right?
why I'm gonna teach you how to relabel, how to select those. There are some good choices. You just have to be smart how to look for it. And I'm gonna give you my my glasses, okay, my reading glasses.
But
Okay.
labels are very deceiving, though.
That's right. But I have ways how to get around that. I'll teach you. Okay. As a matter of fact, anyway, this is the introduction, the big picture. I'm gonna skip the rest of it. But bottom line is, if you were to just one thing, if you don't know whether we do blood tests to show you that if you have fatty liver, right? All right. But the truth is, the only way we know for sure if we do that MRI, which nobody ever does it. Okay. But there is another way how to do that. Here's how you do that. I want you to. Sorry. There's a little delay here. No? What did I do? Did you feed this to coffee? Anyway, the way to know is to. Okay, now it's working. So we can order blood test, we can get that hemoglobin A1C I was saying about, check for blood glucose, but the only way you would know, it's easy, you would know. Answer this question in your mind, don't tell me. Do you have a sweet tooth? Then you have diabetes. You're done.
So wait.
And you have
I
fatty
All of
liver.
us do.
missed that.
All of us have a sweet tooth.
Yeah. What was your question?
Answer this question. If you want to know if you have fatty liver and fatty liver and diabetes, answer this question.
Yes.
Okay.
Do I have a sweet tooth?
Now, is it fixable? Well, but the problem is you'll go for that. Because it's hard to say no, right? Because it's everywhere. And it's fixable. But you don't need no blood test. That's what I'm trying to tell you. As long as you have that and you'll go and you'll fall for it, because there is no will if you have it around you in the house. Okay? We'll talk about that. Anyway, so what I'm trying to say, food choices, just like anybody knows Audre Lorde? She's a poet in the 70s who developed breast cancer. And she, a lot of people get, breast implants. She refused to get implants. As a matter of fact, was showing herself like that. And he says, I need people to, instead of hiding this, to realize something caused my breast cancer. And I want people to learn from this. And she said, I have come to believe that caring for myself is not self-indulgent. If caring for myself, it's an act of survival. This whole lecture, why I'm putting this together, is everything you try to change in what you eat from now on, if you think it as, I want to lose weight, what's your motivation behind it? I want to, but I want to still have my taste, the sweet tooth or whatever it is. If your motivation is taste or losing weight, which is extremely weak motivation, you'll never win this to change. Because we're all addicted to that stuff. They know what they are doing. But if your motivation say, you know what, according to Rescue, I have a sweet tooth, and I'm already on the way to diabetes, fatty liver, cancer, and everything else that comes with it, heart attacks, heart failure, congestive heart failure, high blood pressure. And it's a matter of survival for me that I need to change this. It all depends on motivation, and that's the take-home message here. This is not about survival. This is not about how you look in the mirror, although that matters too. But this is about what's going to happen to me soon. I'll become disabled if I don't change this. And yeah, anyway, but that's the idea. And the only way you can do it is to realize that the food environment around us, the moment you step out of this room, and even the hospital, the first thing you get the little soda machine right next to the cookies, the chips machine, right? That's why I call it toxic food environment. And if it's there, and you're stressed, because who comes happy at hospital? I mean, you think I'm happy and I like the hospital? No, I'm stressed, horrible in the hospital. Always under pressure, always too many patients, always too many things. So if I have that food, next to me in the lunch break in our nursing station.
You're gonna eat it.
Oh, I eat it. No, I'm not gonna. It's done. Okay? Alright? So, but bottom line, why? Because it's designed so you cannot say no. There is no will there involved if you have it around you, including the one who is preaching right now. I'm gonna sing. Okay? Why? Because I'm under stress. I need food. That food, sweet and sugar, calms down my stress. It's designed to do that for our amygdala. And then I'm gonna keep going. The only way I am in control if I don't have it around me. But you cannot be in control outside of your house. The only place you can control is inside your house. So the first step I say, if you want to get healthy, remove all the poison food from your house. Nothing with as much as you can with labels, unless now we're going to go and talk about the labels, how to read them, unless it satisfies some rules that I've talked to you about. Okay? All right? But that's very important. And you start by cleaning up your house. And then you go. A church is my next thing that I go and I get the wrong food. Well, all together, let's start cleaning up our church. Here's the deal. We cannot cook healthy food. And we can take turns, however we divide that, I don't know. But we're not going to have food, we're going to have just water and fruits. Or, stick a carrot, put some carrots there, okay? I'm just saying it. Either we have properly cooked food, or no food is way better, we're healthier. It's good to get hungry and eat a healthy, meal when you go home, okay? That's what I say. Alright? And these are the guys. Energy drinks, yes, it's on the list. It's on the list. And it doesn't matter if it's, sweeteners or not. And these are what causes breast cancer. The number one cause of breast cancer in women. 1 out of 8 women in this country will get breast cancer. And yes, they'll tell you it's genes, BRCA. What they don't tell you, they find the BRCA in less than 1 out of 1,000. What about the other 999? Okay? It's not genetic. If it's genetic, it happens when you're 20. If it happens when you're 40, 50, 60, that's not genetic. Genes are long gone about that. Something turned on the wrong cancer genes. And that's wrong food. So that's important. Alright? And, you go and you read our literature, we've been telling you guidelines, and you watch all these doctors, experts, and, it's fats, you gotta go on low carb, low fat. No, that's irrelevant. Fats and carbs don't matter. It's both. Because when you eat something, those chips I show you, I converted what used to be the kales are low in fat and low in sugar. I just converted them in kale chips. They're high fat, high sugar. So who cares? They come together in those bags. And what you eat out in fast food restaurant, and it doesn't have to be fast food. You can go to others. I'm not gonna say names. Okay? Everybody knows where you guys are going. We call it soul food. Okay? All right. And it doesn't have to be soul food only. We got Applebee's, it's the same. Big Line, National Change, Popeyes, you name it. All you can eat, any version. Golden Corral, you name it. As a matter of fact, when the patient comes to me, I can look at how much food they have and I know where they eat. And they say, how did you know? Yeah. So, wow. Okay? But that's what it is. There is no such thing. Good, fast, back up. The problem is in ultra-processed food, which contains additive, fats, like I told you, sugar and vegetable oils. Why? Sugar and vegetable oils, they hit 2 marks. Mark number 1, they get addicted between the two. Why? Because our body was told 6 million years ago, you need that so you can survive in winter. So we had to have the sweet tooth. That's how we recognize what fruits weren't killing us, so we could eat them. Alright? And because they are sweet, they don't kill you. And also, sugar will make you gain weight. Bears in the winter and squirrels. Do you know what they do? They switch to nuts, which are loaded with omega-6, what you have in the same vegetable oils, and they're seeds and grains. And they eat like bears, fruits right before in August and before the fall. The fruits and the honey have lots of fructose, which then that makes them gain 40, 50 pounds within a month. It's not from the salmon they show pictures they're eating. No, that's from those. And then they get diabetes for about 6 months. But what do? They go fasting for 6 months. But do we ever fast? I'm hungry. You know how many times a day do we eat in this country? 8 times a day. 3 meals and 5 snacks. All right? And every 5 minutes we gotta put something in our mouth. Guess what? That's not how we were made. And most of the time, up to about 10,000 years ago, we used to eat probably once a day if you're lucky, most of the time every other day. I'm not saying you should go too fast for 48 hours because it takes some preparation, but I'm saying it. When you say you're hungry, you're not hungry. It's the sugar and the vegetable oils that make you hungry, send you the wrong message because you're eating the wrong stuff. Okay? That's all. And then we have all the other stuff, which I'm not going to go with. Again, you can watch my lecture there. But I want to show you that they come together, fats and sugars.
Right now.
So this is milk, right? It's a milkshake, right?
What if we eat that once a week? I mean, at least.
It's okay. So let's look at the data,
Okay.
and you're gonna have your answer. Here's what is this? A milkshake. Is this fat or is carb? What? Is this fat or carbs? Fat.
Fats.
Okay. Well, let's see what milkshake has. Well, you forgot that they add this sugar. It's 82 grams of sugar. So how do we know how many teaspoons of sugar? 80 divided by 4. 1 has 4, right? So we got 20 teaspoons of sugar. And we call it fat. It actually it's what we call sweet fat. And, what happened to my... What it has? It has 82 grams. We find that a teaspoon is 4 grams. You divide 80 by 4, 20 teaspoons of sugar. Then we look at the fat. It has 32 grams of fat. Divide by 4, 8 teaspoons. So we call this fat. But it's not fat. It's fat and sugar. And you got 20 teaspoons. Okay, so then you say, well, what about once a week? Good point. Once a week, all right. Well, do you know how much sugar your body can take in a meal, in a day? It's supposed to be, for women, 6 teaspoons. So 20 is already equivalent of 3 days worth of sugar, just that. That means if I have this once a week, the whole week I'm not going to touch anything sweet, anything sugary, anything which is in bread, it's in everything. So you're not going to be able to achieve that. So once a week is too much. Okay? That's all. No, unless you don't mind getting diabetes, the usual things. It's okay. If the mouth wins, then you lose. But that's okay. Yes, go ahead.
You're using the factor to count these calories as the number 4. Is that how we
I don't care about the calories. Did I say the word calories?
Well, I mean,
No, I want
calories.
you. No. Calories don't matter.
No, when you're
It
reading
matters
the
where they
labels,
come from.
when you're reading a label, you're using the denominating factor as the 4, number 4.
4, why? Because 1 teaspoon of something usually has 4 grams of either
Okay,
sugar or 4 grams of oil.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
And what happens is, if I say grams, what does it mean to you? Nothing. But if I tell you a teaspoon, that we know and is meaningful. So I'm converting that in a way that anybody can understand.
That's what I need to know.
All right?
Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. So now let's look at the other one, the French fries. What about that one? How many times a week can you have this? All right, this is commercially available. 180 grams of carbs, the whole French fries. 45 teaspoons, because we divide that. That's the total carb content, which has sugar. The sugar part is about 8 grams. Who would have thought they will add sugar into the French fries that you buy from there? Okay. Then you have 57 grams of fat. Who thought potatoes are fat? Did you think about that? Where is it coming from? Vegetable oil that you fried in it, that goes inside them. Okay? And that's what? 60 divided by 4 will be 15 teaspoons. So you just have now just the French fries part. Okay? It gives you equivalent to 45 teaspoons of sugar and 15 teaspoons of oil. Now, how many teaspoons are of vegetable oil are equivalent to smoking 1 pack of cigarette? I told you before, 5. So how many pack of cigarettes are you smoking when you have this large portion of French fries? 3. You just smoked 3 packs of cigarettes. And how many packs did you smoke here with your favorite milkshake? How many did you smoke here? All right. Well, 8 teaspoons. Yeah, almost 1.5, almost 2. But you see now, if I convert it to you, this is where all that research got me for 15 years. I can translate that into something that's meaningful for you. And that's what happens. So, when you go out there and then you have, hey, I didn't get to the whole meal because I didn't put the burger yet, okay? Let's put the whole meal together because nobody can say no to that delicious burger. So, meal total, 100 grams of sugar, 25 teaspoons, okay? All right. Total grams, total carbs, 60 teaspoons. Okay, that's gonna take about a week for your liver to metabolize that. Okay? Basically, from the liver perspective, you don't eat anything for a week. That's how long it's going to take to get that out of the storage box. Okay? And then fat, 30 teaspoons. So how many packs of cigarettes did you smoke by eating this whole meal?
Yes.
6. Yeah. Okay. And basically, some scientists from NIH basically put people on the same protein carb percent, and they put them from whole foods versus ultra processed food, and they gain 1 pound a day, while the one who were on whole foods, eating the same calories, the same proteins, the same fats, they were losing a pound a day. So after 2 weeks, there were 4 pounds difference between them. What it means is the people who lost weight on eating whole foods, plant-based, they were already eating processed food, and they got to healthy food, they start losing weight, where the other guys gained 2 pounds. So basically, if you eat like this, you'll gain 1 pound a week. In 20 weeks, you'll get 20 pounds, and you keep going. And you don't know how it happened. You say, well, I just gained 20 pounds last year. COVID was a nightmare for us because we didn't go anywhere, and we ordered this kind of food. It was a disaster. All right? And anyway, bottom line is you age faster, and you get diabetes faster. And it's also causing us. And this is some data showing that eating this kind of food is associated with heart disease and mortality, diabetes, brain disorders, major problem, obesity, sleep disorders, fatty liver, also diabetes in pregnant women. Okay, all right. But most important part is, so these are the components, these are the things that we need to avoid. When you look at the label, the trans fats, which trans fats has a different name. They never say trans fat on the label. They'll put it 0. But then when you see in the ingredients, it says hydrogenated oil. That's the trans fat. So look for hydrogenated oil. Okay, that's it, and I will show you. And then oxidized linoleic acid, fried food, anything like that. This is what it does to you. And I always say, from mitochondria perspective, this is actually not food, it's poison. It's telling you it needs to store, you need to grow. But storing and growing when you're, pregnant, it makes sense. But when you're 30, 40, 50 years old, keep growing and storing, you get cancer and you grow the wrong way, you get disease. Okay? And that's that. And here's the example. Although the trans fats are supposed to be banned, you can buy these from Kroger or from any place, right? Don't you ever use this, because all vegetable shortening that they tell you, it has less saturated fat. Remember, that's not the problem. Why? Because you can heat it up and it doesn't cause you trouble. You can cook with butter just fine. Okay? 0 trans fats, but trans fats, when you heat this up, are made from what kind of fat is here?
Saturated fat. Saturated.
Saturated fat.
But saturated is not a problem, remember? So we subtract the saturated 3 from 12, which is 9. Divide by 4. That's 2 teaspoons and a half of polyunsaturated fat. That's the omega-6. That's the vegetable oil I was telling you about. Why? Because that gets oxidized into this. And here's how we know. Look at that. Soybean oil, fully hydrogenated palm oil. So they say no trans fat, but it's hydrogenated, which when you heat it up becomes trans fat. So they are correct, but it's like basically you just need to open the door by heating it up, but it's there for you. So they are legally correct. You can't sue them, but they are disease incorrect. Okay?
So what about olive oil? What do you think about olive oil?
Yeah, olive oil is extra virgin. The key is, the problem with all these seed oils is that when they manufacture them, it's industrial oils, they have to heat them up at 450 degrees.
Unless it says cold pressed.
Correct. So olive oil, the extra virgin, is supposed to be cold pressed at 100 degrees. Usually, even when you cold press it, temperature still goes up to about 100. But theoretically, if you do it traditional way, people have been doing this for 100 years, it's better quality. So yes, extra, if it's true, the problem with that is 80% of extra virgin oil in this country is counterfeit. They mix it up with other oil. So theoretically, a good trick is to see if it says made in Italy, not components from Italy. But I don't know how reliable that is. We buy ours from Costco. It doesn't have to be. Because I'm thinking, Costco might do a better job than others for quality control. But anyway, I don't know if we also get our avocado. We also get the avocado oil the same way. But it's good to eat in salads. It's not good to cook with it. Okay? And I'll show you the data because I'll show you what happens when you fry it. So we say Crisco is for cooking, for baking. No, that trans fat gets into your mitochondria, poisons them from ever, stays in our membranes. Basically, we die before they die. They used to have burgers when we used to cook with them until 2012 when they banned them. It took 100 years, by the way, to be banned. 100 years worth of research, and it got banned. But back then, we used to use this to make French fries when you go and eat at fast food. And there were the trans fats. What's the problem with trans fats? Well, we don't have enzymes to deal with that. It's basically like your story, you become a hoarder in your cells with it and poisons everything else inside your body. I mean, it was so bad that you can leave it outside, the French fries and the burger. You could leave it outside for a year and it doesn't go bad. Because even bacteria cannot eat that. The food is good if it goes bad within a day. That's a good food, okay? All right, but that's how it was. It's like you get silver or gold inside of you, and the cells cannot do their job. They get hoarded with all this and oxidized. So it's a problem. No, I don't even know how is this possible. You can find this, but not many people buy it, obviously. All right, and here is what I was talking about. Look what happens. You take a potato and you can bake it, which is what I call unprocessed. Or you can fry it at home, which it takes three potatoes to do one portion. These are the numbers. Let's go through it. So you can figure it. Here's saturated fat in the baked potato. Nothing. Less than 1 gram. Saturated fat if you fry it, the same. Nothing happens. You're not adding more unless you boil it, unless you fry it in butter. But otherwise, you don't have any saturated fat because you use vegetable oil. And if you use vegetable oil, how much fat did I get? From 0 to 20 grams. How many teaspoons are that? 20 divided by 4. It's 5. So I got 5 teaspoons of oil that stays in your fries. Doesn't matter how much you bounty them. But there's also something else. I want to introduce another concept. And of course, this is the restaurant version, which is way more, twice more. And then you have your chips, which is the worst. The potato chips, in any chip version of it. I show you the kale chips, it goes up to 30. So that's worse than anything else. Why? Because also you go up in the amount too. If you eat a baked potato, you're full. Then you have to eat 3 French fries, 3 potatoes and French fries to be full. Then you have to eat 8 to 10 in the large, commercial available. Because the bigger it is, what do? Are you gonna leave them there? No, you take them with you. You're gonna eat the whole thing. So then you eat lots more, and then the same with the chips. That's just 100 grams. I just want to make sure we have equal amounts. But you can easily a bag is 400 grams, and that will be equivalent to 15 potatoes that you just ate. Wow. So you eat lots more, but you don't realize. Not one, like if you didn't process, you just cook it at home and you add some butter. Okay? You go up to 15. But here is what I want you to learn other names, acrylamide and aldehydes. Ever heard what the acrylamide before? Nail polish.
Whoa.
That's what it is. It's nail polish. That's how you make your nails. That's it. Well, what do you guys do to dissolve that nail polish? That's what you use. That's the cleaning solution from the nail polish. So that acrylamide can clean up those nasty plasticky nails. But you have them in your French fries when you burn vegetable oils. Those are oxidized compounds. And that is the one that I was telling you is shown to cause cancer. Sorry, I'm going to skip through this, just blink your eyes. I want to show that basically, I'm going to show you the data for that, but I want to show you 2 ingredients that our body, as soon as you put them in your mouth, are going to make us have diabetes and fatten. One is fructose, which is the sweet part. We talk about that. It comes from fruits, but it can come from anything, like agave, honey, maple syrup, and anything that's natural in unnatural amounts is toxic. Okay? So no, honey is not healthy. It's healthy for the bees. What? They got nothing else to eat for the winter. That's what for them. Not for us. Unless we eat it seasonal. When it's seasonal, when do the When does the honey come back? Out in June, in July. You eat a little bit June, July, then you don't eat the whole year. That's how we used to do it. Not now. Now it's every day and everything. So no, there's nothing healthy about honey if you use it every day. Okay? Anyway, but the second, so that's one that we need to watch that will fatten us and cause us diabetes, high blood pressure, and cancer. And the other element, the chemical that you need to watch is now from the vegetable oil is the what we call polyunsaturated fatty acids, the liquid fat, not the solid fat from the animals. Okay, so that's from now, it used to be from grain, seeds, and nuts. We just eat the nuts. But now we extract all that and we concentrate, and it's in vegetable oil. Why? Because our body makes our own marijuana from that. When you say people smoke marijuana and they get the munchies, yeah, because you make it from vegetable oil, and that is converted into, this is the compound, it's called 2-AG, 2-arachidonic glycerol. You don't have to know all this. And then that hits your brain center for food, and then you get hungry immediately. So the more anything that is cooked, why do we like the fried part? Because that makes us hungry. We're designed to want that.
Oh, wow.
In fact, it gives you the munchies, except you don't have marijuana. You don't take that. It gives our own marijuana there. Okay, that's why marijuana works for us, because you already have the chemicals inside, but it's stimulated by this. And then it also has receptors on our fat cells that tells the fat cell, time to store, because winter is coming. So these are the two signals. Where you think I have my problem with sugary stuff that has fructose or sweeteners, and with vegetable oils. And now, if you eat a lot of, there are people who eat a lot of also seeds and grains and nuts, like by the pound. Well, those get sick too, except that you don't use the vegetable oils. Anyway, but that's the idea. So these are the two signals, and here is why it's a little bit, this is saturated. The fats are three types of fats. There's the saturated fat, those are from butter, lard, from the animal. Okay, and what do they call saturated? You see, they just look up and down like this, there's nothing else there. This is, and the unsaturated. The unsaturated one, you see, this was called double bond. You don't need to memorize that. Just know that the more omega-9s, which are in avocado oil and in nuts, in coconut, those are okay, all right? There's only one saturated fat. Those are healthy for us. The omega-6 and omega-3, they are polyunsaturated. They have 2 or 3 or 6 double bonds. And when they have that, they're actually essential fats for us. We need to eat it from outside, from grain, seed, and nuts, or from fish, okay? They're essential in low amounts and not heated up, okay? And that's what it shows you. Those double bonds, because the double bonds, once you cook with them and you heat them up or expose to oxygen, they convert them from good fats into bad fats. They're rancid, oxidize, and create those acrylamide that I was telling you about, okay? And they're used to make our sex hormones. We need them. Just don't process them and eat them as they come from grains, seeds, and nuts. Okay? And look what happens. This is an experiment where they took 12 different kinds of oils here. Okay? And they measured these trans fats and the acrylamide that I was telling you about. And you see, even normal, before they start cooking with it, they have them. And that's because I told you to extract them, they need to be heated up. Okay? But then if I compare the amount, after half an hour frying, goes up about 5 to 10-fold of this oxidized, cancer substance. But look, this is the olive oil, extra virgin oil, 2 different types. Extra virgin oil, if you fry with it, it's half as bad, but it's still bad. So you can use your extra virgin oil or avocado, but use it in salads. Try not to cook. We can do quick stir frying, not for 25 minutes, just to quick in the dish, not for prolonged. Okay? You can use it. But that's that, because they will be half as bad. Well, they also have, even the olive oil, and to answer your question, the extra virgin oil or the avocado oil, they also have omega-6s too, not just monounsaturated omega-9s. But it's only 15% of the whole oil, as opposed to 70% if it's sunflower. Here's where it shows like that. And now I was telling you, for 50 years we changed our diet. Look, we increased, you can see how obesity, diabetes, parallels the increase in vegetables and in the sugars in the country. You know how much vegetable oil we're having up to 1900? None. We're eating for 6 million years, all just animal fat. And we're just fine. Actually, the first case ever reported of heart attacks was in 1920. We never used to have those. And now Egyptians, in the mummies now we found that they had that because they started grain and agriculture. Okay? But anyway, and now we are way more, our main basically fat intake now is from vegetable oils. And normal average sugar intake about 90 grams a day. How many teaspoons of sugar is that? 22? 22. That's average. That's just statistically speaking. And then we recommend less than 6 teaspoons of sugar a day. That's just not happening for women, 9 for men. And, only one of these is equivalent of 90, just so you know. I was just showing you equivalent. And you say, well, I don't drink, I don't go to Starbucks, that's expensive stuff. Fine. But you have these. They do the same. Energy drinks, sports drinks, Gatorade, whatever you name it, flavor, fruit flavored drinks, sweet tea and coffee, sodas. They do the same. You don't need to go to Starbucks for that. Sorry, go ahead. You had a question?
Oh, no, I was just looking.
So they're the same, and that's how we get to 90 grams a day.
So with the oil,
Yes.
if you use vinegar, like we do balsamic or whatever,
Yeah.
does that break some of the fat?
Okay, yes. So actually cooking, so let's say you're planning to grill something or bake something, okay? If you marinate with lemon or vinegar,
Okay.
you marinate even 10-15 minutes.
Just
you
the
marinate.
stilled or like the apple?
Whether it's meat, it doesn't matter, whatever your taste is for, I don't care. Some people I like with lemon, that's how Greeks do it. People say it's Mediterranean diet. No, it's Mediterranean style of cooking that makes the difference. So they pre-marinate with other lemon, that's the Greek version, or you can do it, or Italian version, or you can do it with vinegar, whatever cider, you like. And then just for 10-15 minutes, your meat or any veggies, anything you like. And then you can bake it, that protects. It's less than half of this zest. It's very useful,
Yeah,
yes.
because people
Or
are
grilling.
washing chicken with
Yes.
lemons now. People.
Yeah, but I don't want you to brush. I want you to put it inside and marinate with it for about 15 minutes. So it goes inside. It also gives more flavor to whatever spices you have.
Yeah.
All right, so you can actually get 2 for 1. Okay, so that makes a difference. Yes. Okay. Yes, go ahead.
So you said even the diet drinks, that's the issue.
Aspartame and whatever they use, stevia, it doesn't matter. They're all the
And
same.
the little flavors.
Splenda.
You put in the water, like the water.
Yeah, the vitamin water and all that is a 9, and the flavor. No, don't touch it. Remember, if it's sweet, it's gonna be sweet. That's why you like it. It's gonna release your insulin. It's still gonna cause you diabetes and everything else. This is a brain reaction, reflex. Okay?
Like the
And
Gatorade,
we have the data. I'm not making this up. Okay?
you like the Gatorade up there, right?
No, I don't like it. Everything I put there, it's a disaster.
Okay, what about the powder Gatorade that you mix with the water?
Yeah.
That's a disaster as well?
Yeah, everything is a disaster. If you wasn't here 100 years ago, not good. How's that?
Vinegar with
Yeah.
mother in it is good.
What?
Vinegar with the mother in it.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, no problem with the vinegar.
So
Yeah.
what about air frying?
Air frying is half as bad.
Okay.
But half as bad doesn't make it good, but it's half as bad. Why? Because as long as you remove the oil, that's a big one. But when you heat up in the dry condition, that gives the crispy nature. It's like a potato chips without the vegetable oils. You still oxidize your protein in your carbs. So there is still some damage, but it's half the damage. Okay? We don't have much of a data really about it, but I can tell you the chemistry is that. So, yeah. But a lot of people put a little bit of, like, half a teaspoon or a teaspoon. Well, you know what you're putting in, but it's still bad. Okay? All right. Bottom line is, that's how we changed in the last 50 years. And we need to know more about these essential fats because some of these polyunsaturated fats are good for you, some are bad. For example, there are 2 of them, omega-6s and 3s. The 6s, we make the sex hormones from it, okay? And they're essential to create, it's important for, body hormones. However, the omega, they are pro-inflammatory. In other words, it causes us total body inflammation if we have some other injury in the body. But there's omega-3s which do the opposite. They're also polyunsaturated. They come from the fish. Why? We actually don't make it. We're very little, 1%. We get it from fish which eat algae. Algae actually makes the omega-3s. Fish eat, but it has to be marine fish Not farm fish, because farm fish, you don't feed them, algae. We feed them, natural, trout or whatever it is. And then they eat the algae, we eat them, and then we're good. Okay? All right. But those omega-3s, it's a balance because their ratio is there. But the catch is you want that ratio to be actually less than 4:1. It used to be 1:1. Now it's 20:1. That means we have 20 times more inflammation tendency than protection. And they want us to eat, currently about 25% of all our calories are that. Now here's the problem with this kind of vegetable oil. Once it gets in our system, how long does it stay? For example, if I eat sugar, how long does it stay in our system? Oh, we finish it fast, okay? It goes away after 6, 8 hours, 12 hours. So if you don't eat anything, well, it goes away provided you don't have two Starbucks coffee cappuccinos. They have 200 grams. Depends. That meal I showed you, that may take about 3 days. But either way, we metabolize fast sugar. That's the idea. After a day or 2 or 3, that's gone. Unless if you don't eat again. Now, what about this vegetable oil, omega-6s? Look how long it stays in our system, in our fat cell. How many years is 680 days? 2 years.
Wow.
And yeah.
But does it go away with exercise? Like some of it, most of
You
it?
can, when you can.
That's not stored in.
I'll tell you, exercise helps you to work on your diabetes and get your metabolic function because it makes the mitochondria healthy again. But it doesn't necessarily help to burn them. They'll go away when the body's going to use them. It takes them 2.5 years to get to half of what it was. In 10 years, we'll get to that. And the reason I'm saying is this. We all get, let's say I'm overweight and I want to lose some weight, right? So then you say, I'm going to go on a diet. Well, what did Sorescu say? First, I got to cut the sugar. If you are overweight because you had a sweet tooth and sugar was your problem, then cut the sugar, immediately you start to lose weight. So then you'll see you lose weight when you go completely sugar-free in the first week or 2 weeks and 3 weeks. After 2 or 3 weeks, you're happy. Oh, I'm losing weight. I lost 5 pounds. Then you lose 10. Eventually, you get to about 10. And after 2 months or 3 months, you'll see it will stabilize after you cut the sugar. And you say, well, wait a minute. I still have about 100 pounds. I got to do some. What about those? Well, that extra weight that when you plateau it, you can no longer use it. That's that. It's tough substances that are in our fat cells it will take 2 years to lose that. Okay? In other words, our body tends to get hold on us certain fats way longer than the sugars. Okay? So people who give up and say, I try to lose weight, I can't seem to. Initially was working, I cut the sugar, so rest is not working, I cut the starches. Well, trust me, I'm having this ongoing issue with Misha because she's done good, but she's just not happy with me yet. She wants to lose more weight. She said, why am I not losing weight? Because of the diet soda? Yeah, all right. See, this is like, all right. I already have a wife, okay? You're supposed to listen to me. All right. I'm not arguing here. All right. So, but bottom line is, there is biology we change. It's like when you smoke the pack of cigarette today, it will take us 30 years to reduce our risk of lung cancer. But once you have those 5 teaspoons of sugar, the oil every day, where is that from? Do you know that? Ranch dressing. And there's just one little pack. And most of you put 2. Once you do that,
Oh, my Lord.
What's in the ranch dressing?
That's why they call it
What's in the
hidden
ranch
garlic.
dressing? She said something
Hidden
about
garlic.
vegetable oil, the same way.
That's why they call it
And
hidden
it stays
garlic.
for 2 years in your system. And that, in 2 years, what it means, half-life means in 2 years, it's only half of what it was before. In 4 years, it will be 1/8 of what it was before. It takes a long time to get rid of that bad boy.
But taking sugar out of your diet, they say that you're addicted to it. It's like you start having
Sugar is the first step, but then the vegetable oils in every form, any chips, is the next step. But you'll have to be more patient with the vegetable oils. It will take 2 years.
So Dr. Rescue, what is the dressing that's beneficial, like the apple cider vinegar?
Oh, it's easy. Make your own. Add olive oil and your vinegar. That's it. It's not that hard. Or you can use instead of vinegar, you can use lemon. Squeeze a lemon, and it's not a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can use it. I have
You
this,
just gotta get
all these questions you asked me by the, in that lecture, you go on
In
YouTube.
here? Or
Yeah,
in the-
well, I will show you after we're done.
Okay.
I have a channel where I've been giving these lectures for almost 17 years now.
Tanisha was telling me.
And you go onto the channel and then I'll show you the lecture there. It's called Rescue to the Rescue.
Okay.
All right.
We recorded this in November. Tamisha was there. And then we recorded in 3 parts. And you can watch and trust me, it's all about how to do it. All these questions you ask me are
What
there.
about making lentil soup?
That's right. Well, you get that from Tanisha. She learned it from me. And no, my wife, not me. I passed on the recipe. All right. And she has a good inside joke, but we're not going to talk
I
about
know,
that
I
right
heard.
now. Yeah.
I was there.
Yeah. However, I do want to point out, just so you have an idea, how concentrated. So an average American consumes 5 to 10 teaspoons of vegetable oils per day. Right? That's the average consumption. If I were to extract that from corn, do you know how many corn ears I would have to eat? 100. So that would be equivalent of eating 100 corns in a day if I were to eat step by step, one by one. If I tell you just ate 100 corns, would you think you're going to gain weight from that? Okay, the trick is they concentrate, the same with the sugar, and you don't realize how much you're having. And that's what I was trying to say. If you eat the food as it comes natural, you never eat that much. You eat 1, 2, you stop. You never get to be sick from it. And that's why plant-based food and whole foods are essential, because our brain, our body is designed to know what food is and know when to stop eating, but we're bypassing our chemical sensing systems in our brain, and then we don't know when to stop with that. And that's what happens. And the same, look, you will eat, if it's from rice oil, you'll need about 20 pounds of rice to eat to get there. Grapes, about 8 pounds, because there's also grapeseed oil. Oh, it's healthier for you, it's got phenolic compounds. Nonsense. There's nothing healthy when you extract that. And what we know is that we need to increase our fish in our diet to increase the what we call the anti-inflammatory, healthy version, the omega-3s. Those are good, but they have the same problem. They're polyunsaturated. So if you heat them up, if you fry the fish, you're done with anything was healthy there. So you can't fry it. So you can eat them, a sardine, you can bake your fish, but lower temperature, like 250 or 300, okay? Just don't kill the omega-3s. That's very important by overheating it. Avocados that's great, marine fish. All right, in general, I would take it easy with tuna or eat fish that eat other fish. Why? Because they accumulate mercury because they live long. You can't have tuna more than once a week. However, you can have the little fish, wild salmon, cod, trout, whatever, as long as they've been not farmed and come from the marine water. You can eat them every day, you don't have to worry about mercury because they're small. They don't have
So what about fish that eat other fish? What do you say?
Tuna, for example, if you are allowed in nature to live, it actually, the longer it lives, up to 20, 30, 40 years, the bigger it gets. So once you do that, it accumulates mercury from the water, ocean water.
Yeah.
So they're loaded with mercury the longer. So big fish live longer, therefore they're more loaded with mercury. I would not eat more than once a week.
That's freshwater, saltwater, both.
It doesn't matter because we poison all our water nowadays. Okay, it depends. Like, for example, I fish trout, I go right below Georgia Dam because I know they tested the water. Okay? But the idea is that don't count that you think you know where you're at. Just as long as it's small fish that live short, probably they're okay. All right? Not tilapia, by the way. Yeah. All right, that's an example. So not farm. That's not going to work. Okay? I mean, they have proteins, but you don't have the omega-3s, that's all. All right? And what about this? Anybody likes these? The dairy products?
Just take it off the screen. Just take it off.
So please, this should be a treat. This should be a treat.
Okay.
Once a year, twice a year.
You say a year?
Once
a month, right? You say, y'all heard me say once a month,
I
right?
tend to define my words. I'm teaching you Romanian now, please. All right? Okay, so, well, but that's the problem, Okay, it could be once a month if you're 20 years old and healthy and you run an hour and a half like me a day. I run, I'm just not 20 anymore. But anyway, that's bottom line. But bottom line is, this is what they do because they oxidize. Why? What's wrong with this stuff? Depends what they're made of. So the pork ate the same seed oils in their food, so they're loaded with the same omega-6, and then you fry it or you cook it, and it's a disaster. That's why they're bad. Now, if it's beef, that's a little better, but they add nitrates or some other stuff. Because beef, cows don't have the omega-6. They have two stomachs, and they metabolize their bacteria, metabolize that in the second stomach. Okay? But bottom line is, this is what I was saying, the making of canola oil. You see, the problem is all vegetable oils. To look so nice, transparent, and not smelling, they do this final step. It's called deodorization. Oxidizing oil at 440 degrees. They pre-fry it for you, for your convenience. How's that? Okay?
Bleach?
Yeah, they bleach it, yeah. And they do all kinds of chemicals, so because otherwise it will smell just like engine oil. Like if they sell it at this stage, okay, it will smell like engine oil and nobody will touch it. That's actually what was originally Crisco when he came out with it in 1904. It was actually a cottonseed engine oil. And it took a long time to convince our women or mothers to cook with it because it's vegetable. That's why they call it vegetable, but it's a misnomer. It's not vegetable, it's seed oil. And it's the same one we use for engine. Okay? But then they do this final step, bleach and deodorize. They basically treat it with chemicals and heating. When we do that, it converts those omega-6, even though they're healthy, into oxidized stuff. And that's what's bad. That's why I don't like it in every form. I don't care. And then, well, they say, well, we measure it. No, when scientists measure what they have, none of them is healthy. That's why cold pressing and how they do it. In other words, you don't need to heat them up. You just press it under high pressure, okay, with lower temperature. And I'm just giving you an example. Omega-6 is content in sunflower oil is the worst, 70%. Soybean, corn, sesame. People think, this is another nightmare. Peanut oil, disaster. Canola oil is actually a little better. That's why I put it in orange. Avocado oil, olive oil. You see, I put it in and goes towards green because the lower the omega-6 content, the better. Yeah, because it's all saturated fat, or omega-9 is not the omega-6s. And if you need to heat with it, I'm just saying, if you cook with it, that doesn't mean, yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I guess they say most people eat stuff because it has its flavor. Like
That's right.
Yeah. I look at a lot of things you don't really need the seasoning.
Yeah. But you can season well with any spices you want. And then you can add.
But some people over season.
Look, you can use. I'm going over. Okay, what oils can you use? These are good fats. These are bad fats. Animal fat, it's okay. Coconut, as long as it's a good quality, probably is okay. The key is because you can have the hydrogenated fat too, so you gotta be careful the source where it's coming from.
Right.
Ghee, butter, olive oil, avocado oil. Just careful, even with olive oil, avocado oil, don't hit with it. Or you can do baking, but minimize. If you were to cook with it, just put less, okay? Or use butter or other sources.
What is ghee?
Ghee is actually extracted from butter. It's a traditional Indian. Basically, it's extracted from butter. You take all the protein out, and that's ghee. Anyway, but not the margarine oil yet. And the reason why it's important, what I was telling you about those meats that come in the dairy products, the issue is that all our animals, the porks and the chicken, the fat that they put in the animal feed, you know where it's coming from? Here. Vegetable oils and partial hydrogenated oils have been deemed as safe ingredients in the animal food. They come from our McDonald's and Burger King and all the fast food chain oils. They've been used for a week. They've been fried for human purposes, and then they go into the feed of the animals. So it's over-fried. So animals guess what? That's perfect way how to get animals fat very fast because you sell them by the pound. So they love it. Okay? But the animals get fatty liver, they get diabetes, they fatten. Then the animals, we get the same. Because they use the same burned vegetable oils. It didn't get straight into us, got pressed into them and then to us. So that's why not. Now, calorie difference, it shows the pork and the chicken actually are the worst from that perspective. Okay?
Just here, I know that you have Hispanic diet food, and then soul food.
Yeah, ethnic. This,
What's the difference? What would you say there? Are they about the same? Because both of them use a lot of oil, a lot of stuff.
well, the key is don't use the oil. I mean, you can have soul food that's healthy. We used to eat very healthy. You know, you taught us our, you know, it's probably the only true American diet that we have native here. You know, and but the secret is don't use vegetable oil. Just cook like you were to cook. I mean, it comes with what? Collards, you know, super greens, you know, kale. You make the stew, green beans, and then you have your fats from the pork or whatever it is. Just don't fry with vegetable oils, and don't add the sugar or the barbecue sauce, which is a nightmare. You know.
The barbecue sauce.
Oh, you go outside of this country. I'm sorry. Did I say something?
So we can't fry the chicken. I mean, that's so cool right there.
I am not apologizing. All right?
You're educating us.
It's sugar and fat. You know that. Oil. It's sugar
So
and
you're
oil.
saying bake everything?
Yes.
You can bake, just don't use vegetable oil to
Right,
bake.
but
All right.
that's it. I mean, if you bake it, you're not using it. You're not using any oil.
That's right. And then, again, you can make excellent, healthy soul food. No
Yeah.
problem. The same way you could be Mexican version too, or it could be the dirty version if you use the oils. It depends. Or the sugar. Okay? Again, that's why do you think I'm going for the chemicals that are in there so everybody knows to avoid that.
Yes.
And any ethnic food can be super healthy. How you used to do it traditional, as long as you don't use products that were not here 100 years, you know, in the last 50 years. Okay?
I saw a picture where it was in the city of New York, and they showed the people in the 50s, and everybody was slim.
That's right.
Everybody was
Yeah.
trimmed. Then they
That's
showed
right.
the same pictures,
Yeah.
same street. I mean,
Yeah.
a picture
Yeah.
in the 2020, and they were all obese.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And
Well,
it's
you know,
worse and worse. You go now at the beach, it's a disaster.
You saying that about the oil?
We don't tell anybody.
I know a lot
I
of.
mean, if I were to say, okay, how many people, because you see a different way than I see. For me, when I see somebody's overweight, I start crying because I know what's inside their body. That's what I mean. Okay? They don't know that, and some don't want to know. Now, it doesn't mean people may be concerned, obvious. Nobody likes and chooses to be overweight and obese.
But like you have,
But these are the reasons why, if I tell you that you can have a choice, that's what matters. Okay? Yeah.
no, like with the Romanians, they have a different, you know, structure,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
we as blacks,
That's
we have
right.
a different bone structure.
That's right. You
which is
actually,
big. Okay.
we have something in common from that perspective. It's related to mitochondria, believe it or not. We're both prone to actually have diabetes genes. Romanians are actually very high incidence of diabetes right in Romania. We're thin outside, fat inside. We are supposed to be running in athletics. In other words, we need little food to make a lot of energy as long as we use our muscle. But the moment we have too much of the vegetable oils or the sugar, then we convert easily into fat. Okay? We're supposed to be athletic runners and do the farm work. Okay? I'm talking about for Romanians. I don't know, where you would come from, but I'm just saying. Like when we used to be farmers, we used to work 12 hours a day. I will get home when it's dark outside because we finished what we had to do. And then the women will work a lot too to prepare all that food, taking care of kids and run around. They'll never rest. It's different. Okay? So we change. Our body's made for other things, so we can, and now we stop.
Yeah, I was
go ahead.
asking about the oils. Like, 'cause back in the day, older days, they had lard. They not fry with vegetable oil.
Yes, that's right. They were not frying with vegetable oil. That's correct. We introduced this in 1904, CRISPR. Since then, we never stopped having more and more. And I know here I'm just showing. If I were to look at the vegetable oil content, you see this is the vegan burger, Beyond or whatever, Impossible Burger. You know, this is how you know. When you look at the formula, canola oil is made with that. Now, if it's made with coconut and avocado, it's a little better, okay? But if it's canola, it's vegetable oil.
But it's still
Then you got the
processed.
omega-6. Yes, it's processed. Now, if I were to compare that with a regular burger from fast food chain, that is healthier, no doubt. So have your Impossible Burger or Beyond Burger. If you other choice would be fried chicken or God knows what burger from a fast food chain that you don't know. Okay? However, if I were to have a choice and I make my own burger at home, and I know I bought, my beef and I make it, then these are in the order. This is from healthiest to the least healthy, and I put it there in your place, so you have an idea.
Courtney,
Yeah.
you see the deer?
Okay? This is the least healthy according, and this is the
Yeah.
healthiest. Okay?
Game.
You have it in your little booklet, so you know. Boom. Okay? Alright. Alright, okay, bacon, come on. Hey, I got good news for you. I'm not gonna cut bacon away from you. Okay?
Oh, thank you. Now you can stay.
However,
No, I knew it had to be a catch. I knew it had to be a catch.
they're little like, you know, the small notes. The little small notes here. So here's, what kind of bacon is the healthiest? Please choose the uncured sugar-free in organ, okay?
Okay.
Alright? That's not that hard, right? Why? Because nitrates, processed meats are linked to colon cancer. So you want the one they haven't done that. And the crispy, when you cook it, don't make it crispy. I know, that's what you like.
Most people like Christmas.
I know. Just cook it right before it gets crispy.
Yeah,
Just
because
like
it,
it right.
it holds the fat.
It burns and creates that acrylamide and everything. Why? Because bacon, the fat from the bacon still has some of those omega-6s. So you want to stop it. Okay?
How about this turkey bacon?
Well, turkey, I had a slide, I don't have it here.
What about chicken sausage?
Okay. Depends how the turkey was fed. If it's natural turkey, God knows where you found it from, if you can find it. Alright? Yeah, if you hunt it, it's good. You eat all you want. If it's fed the same way with the same processed oils that are from humans after we fried it for a week, then no.
It's like the deli meat.
Yeah. In terms of the bacon, probably beef and pork are better than turkey, for sure. Okay?
Okay.
Wow.
If you can find beef bacon, that's better because beef doesn't have so much of those omega-6s. Okay? And then pork is the next, and then turkey is the least. Okay?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Because again, omega-6s is what you do with it when you heat it up at high temperature. If you were to eat it as such, but we can't eat it like
But
that.
so we don't have a pork diet at all. So we eat the turkey bacon because we don't eat pork.
That's fine. So, but you can have, look, even turkey bacon is not bad. I'm saying it, just know that it's not that healthy as you think. I'm not saying you're going to eat 2 slices and you drop dead. I didn't say that. It's just cumulative. That's all. Don't go binging. Well, because there's a difference when I tell you it's still half as bad as opposed to you think it's healthy.
Right.
Because then if it's healthy, you eat as much as you want. And that's not true. That's all I'm saying. Okay? And there's a beef version too, by the way, of
Okay.
bacon. You can
Okay.
find it. Anyway, that's all. All right. This is where I show you the data I was telling you about. And look what happened. This is fish. If you bake it, this is a nice salmon that's wild caught. It's got omega-3s, only 1 gram. And then that's the only fat they have, which is super healthy, important for our brain, for our baby's brain, so they don't get autism and ADD or depression.
What is
And
that,
they grow.
cheese?
What?
You said that's cheese?
What?
You said that's cheese?
Salmon. Wild salmon.
Okay, salmon.
Wild salmon. And then what happened after I fry it? I go up again, 20 grams. How many teaspoons of oil is that?
Yeah, no, we like salmon croquet. You know.
Yeah. So you got five. You divide by 4, says 5 teaspoons of oil they got into. Basically, for lack of better words, we have other fish to fry. You just kill everything what's good in that, and you got the poison. There's nothing healthy in that. Okay.
Wow.
All right. And then I'm not even talking about the other stuff. But here's why I wanted you. Remember, I was telling you about the chips are the worst. Any version of chips doesn't matter if it's from kale or whatever. And I was telling you about this acrylamide and aldehydes, not just that. Here's the paper. They showed how aldehydes represent the main carcinogen present in tobacco smoke when you give to, that causes DNA damage, and how we get lung cancer 20, 30, 40 years later, breast cancer, prostate cancer, pancreatic cancer. It's associated with almost every cancer you can imagine. And that's the mechanism from those aldehydes and acrylamides that we have then when you fry something. So I want you from now on, each time you eat something fried, think this way. Count how many teaspoons. So remember, 5 teaspoons, okay, equals a pack of cigarettes. Okay? A hand of here. Okay? Alright, that's what I want to show you.
Breast.
Alright. It's depressing, right?
Yeah, it is.
Well, but how about I ask you this question?
No, it's okay.
What if you grew up 100 years ago? Would it be depressing? No. You would have eaten just
No, I
fine.
wouldn't even know about
But
it.
you would have
right?
cooked, and you would have been fine.
Yeah.
But obviously, if I tell you don't eat this, that means you gotta be the cook at home. Somebody has to cook. And you take back control of your life. And then you don't have to worry about disease and seeing doctors. Alright? That's it.
Okay.
Alright. And So what causes high blood pressure? What causes high blood pressure? Well, it's high blood pressure. It says genetics. But it's only less than 10% is a problem. And even if you have genes, they don't have to be turned on, right? We talk about that.
Right.
So what causes this is insulin being up. Okay?
Say that again.
Insulin.
Insulin?
Diabetes, yes. Insulin is up. What causes the insulin to be up? Eating sweets and sugar and fried food. And why? Because doctor tell you don't eat salt, right? The salt attracts water and you get high blood pressure. That's worse. But the salt is retained because of the sugar. So actually it's the sugar that triggers the insulin that makes you retain sodium and water.
Right.
Okay? It's like water, it's attracted by sodium and sodium is attracted by sugar. So don't try, if you just try to cut the salt, but you don't cut the sugar, you're going to swell up and your blood pressure will be worse. I actually I tell my patients, look, you can cook with some salt at home, just don't add the sugar into your thing. Because then the salt won't stay in your system, you just add for your taste and it'll always be in 10 times less than what would be out there in fast food. Okay? But pay attention to the sugar, that's what I'm trying to say, if you have a problem with high blood pressure. And also to the salt, but just don't eat it from processed food, you can cook a little bit at home, use it for your taste. And that was the take-home message, because that's how you get congestive heart failure, and you get also high blood pressure. All right, you get sick, and you don't. So it's not just the salt, but it's the sugar that attracts the salt that attracts the water. That's what I'm trying to say. That good?
So if you take the sugar out of that,
You can put some salt in your food as long as you cook it at home, because the oil is no problem for taste. Okay? All right. That makes sense?
Yes.
Good.
You're saying the salt, like the regular Adelard salt, is okay.
Well, the regular salt, it depends. If you have problems with high blood pressure, you can only use also potassium-based salt, the so-called no-sodium salt, because they're sodium and potassium-based. Or Mrs. Dash, that has spices. But you can use even regular salt as long as you cook with it. And you cut the sugar out of it. And you don't add. If the recipe requires a lot of sugar, skip that.
If I use salt, I use a little sea salt.
What?
How do you cook the sugar?
If I use salt.
Oh, have you looked at any recipe? Did you ever watch those chef shows? Every 5 seconds, doesn't matter what they cook, even cakes or cookies. They put salt, they put sugar. They put salt, they keep sugar, because it comes together for the taste. Yeah. It's a nightmare. Yeah. Actually, I think they're lousy chefs because my mom knows how to cook, so actually the food has great taste from spices. You don't have to add a lot of sugar or salt. I think a good chef is the one that uses mostly spices and not uses a lot of salt or sugar.
Yeah, like
and they do that, they're actually terrible chefs. I would give them 0 stars.
I like the ones that use
And no clue
pink
how to
salt.
cook.
Yeah, what about the pink salt or the sea salt or other variations of what they call
Yeah, I
European
mean,
salt?
theoretically, pink salt, the Himalayan, it's a little better. It's got some other stuff going on. But again, everything in little amounts is fine. Okay, it's not a problem. But yes, pink, theoretically, Himalayan pink, it's a little better
Okay.
quality. It's got some other minerals. Okay. This is Garden Herb Ranch. Looks familiar? Chick-fil-A. Okay? This is Chick-fil-A version. Okay? Look. So let's read the labels. Let's see how many teaspoons of vegetables and sugars are in this. Just one. This is one pack. One pack. This is not 2 packs. One. All right. So you have. Let's read. Tamisha, help me out.
29
Total
minus 5.
minus 5, 24.
Yep.
Divided by 4
4.
is 6 teaspoons.
6.
And how many packs of cigarettes is that? 5 teaspoons is 1 pack, right? That's like 1.5. Yes, so, yeah. What about the sugar? You look at total carbs, it's 2 grams. That's it. So not a problem with sugar. The problem with them is this. You see? This one. 6 teaspoons of vegetable oil. So I show you total fat 29 minus 5, 24. 25 divided by 4, 6 teaspoons of sugar. And how do you know what kind of oil is that? It says here, soybean. That's seed oil or vegetable oil. And so this is the problem. That's what gives the taste. Remember, that's the one that stimulates our own marijuana, so we want it. But also, our fat cells receive the stimulus to deposit it and store it. Okay? That's why we can't get rid of it. That's the fastest way to fat. It's like, okay, no, Chick-fil-A is not any healthier. Nothing is of those fast food restaurants is any healthier. Alright? And then you have other stuff they put in it, what I call the FEPs, the preservative, the emulsifiers, and flavor enhancer. And this is here, it says xanthan gum, that dissolves your gut, you get leaky gut. Then you have the preservatives, it tells you, benzoate. I mean, everything is here. All these 20 names that you've never heard in your life. Guar, gum, I don't know. All these are, I call them FEPs. That means chemicals that are added there to fatten us. Although it preserves and makes it tastier, it's fake food. It's not real food. Oh, who likes, what about people who like the vegan milks? You like that? Is it healthy? Let's read the label for this one. I'll give you the shortcut here. Yeah, Oatly milk has the glycemic load of a Coke and as much oil as serving of French fries. And a serving of French fries is equivalent to how many packs of cigarettes to smoke? 1. Okay? That's what you're having there. So, and then basically what I'm trying to say, minimize the bad fats. The bad fats are from vegetable and hydrogenated oils, which are those, the Crisco, the dressing. You make your own salad dressing from your olive oil, balsamic vinegar. If your mayo is a disaster, but you just use a small portion from time to time. All those cookies, crack, anything with seed, chips, facial oils. This is cosmetics, feminine cosmetics. Do you know why your face gets nice from it? It's from those seed oils. They put sunflower, they put canola, they put coconut, they put avocado. It's the same. That's how it works to get through your skin. And what is beautiful, because you feel better for 5 minutes, and you look better than the other one next to you for 5 minutes, long term is aging your skin. Have you ever seen people who are exposed and you see they have all this, exposure? People live out as farmers and their face looks terrible after 30 years being in the sun, alright? Or people who smoke, alright? Well, that's what this stuff does to you. The more you put on your face today, the more your skin is going to look like because it's aging in the same time.
So what's the alternative?
There is no alternative. The less the better. How about that? Okay? I mean, use it when you absolutely have to. Just know that the more frequent and the same when you do your nail polish. It's acrylamide, it's all those poisons, phthalates, because it's plasticizer. You use it there. They get into your system and they age you faster. And 20% of your obesity, diabetes is from that. Okay? However, doesn't mean you should never use it. I understand. We're also social human beings and we have to look in a certain way. But try to make it when you absolutely really need it and minimize it. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And particularly if you're pregnant and you have a baby, don't try to use it at all. Okay? Because it goes into and goes into the baby too. Okay? Anyway, but that's about it. Alright? This is a breakfast, that's cereals. One thing that I would like for people to stop forever is eating cereals. There's nothing healthy in cereals. Okay? Cereals, well, let's read the label. How about you help me read this label?
I know I'm a Frosted Flakes girl. Oh
Here,
my goodness.
this is how much you get from this. Alright? So this is your sugar from, I put together the skim milk, and I'm putting together, because you think it's skim, right? And I put together the Cheerios. Here is total carbs, 32. We subtract the fiber, 32 minus 3, 29. We divide that by 4, 70 spoons of sugar, just from, and this is a small portion, now you didn't fill the whole bowl, okay? Then, so I have 70 spoons of sugar just from the cereal. Then from the milk, I have another 12, divided by 4, 3. 3 plus, well, we got 16 teaspoons. You're having dessert for breakfast, you think you have breakfast. I mean, why don't you just eat this if you are that desperate to eat that sugar? Just put the 16 cups in case, of this and eat that. At least it's what you see, it's what you get. And then you'll say, wait a minute, I think there is some anomaly if I can eat all this for breakfast. And maybe you'll stop after the second or third. Because you'll stare in your face what you're doing. With the other, you don't. Okay? It's nothing. You just basically just got a sudden rush of insulin and diabetes for breakfast.
Yeah.
And then you have another one, and it's like, oh, you see, I got you confused now. You see, I put that on because I knew it was going to be your face, right? Then what? Instead of this, try this scrambled boiled eggs with vegetables. All right?
Okay.
You know, plain whole fat Greek yogurt with nuts and sliced fruit.
Yeah.
But again, whole fat, not the low percent fat. Why? Because they take out the fat and they put the sugar in.
Yeah.
All right?
They
don't want that.
preservatives, all the different
Yeah, they put out the fat. Right? So some people like oatmeal, and who likes oatmeal? Who eats oatmeal? Okay, get rid of that too. Wait a minute.
It's just direct.
Let's read the label.
Get rid of
Let's read the label. Let me see if I just make this out of nowhere. Here's the label.
Oh my goodness.
Calorie. You see, I never read calories again. They're irrelevant. They're useless.
Yeah.
Just use these formats. That's why I teach you how to read the labels. Protein 5 grams. Okay, you get some proteins. Fat 3 grams. Not big deal. Carbs 27. 27 minus how much fiber? 4. 23 divided by 4. It's almost 6. So you just got your 6 teaspoons of sugar from that oatmeal, but you thought it's healthy. It is true that it's healthier than the cereals. Because particularly, I'm talking about the stuff, not the one that you heat it up right away. No, not that one. I'm talking about the ones
That you boil a little.
stone cut, the one that you boil, they actually
yeah.
work. So this is the version, I'm talking about the healthy version. But you still get 6 teaspoons of sugar per
But I
serving.
don't eat it every day.
Okay. However,
And I go up and down the
how
stairs.
about we go my way? Eggs and vegetables. Let's see that.
Okay.
Alright?
Okay.
So, look. Hard-boiled egg. How many carbs? 0.
Okay.
Proteins, 7 grams. If you have 2 eggs, you have more protein than a 6-ounce steak.
Okay.
Okay? And you're full, and it doesn't raise your insulin.
Okay.
It's in my link. I'll give you the link. You can watch that.
2 eggs.
2 eggs, 2 to 3 eggs, it's equivalent of 6 ounces of steak protein.
Wow.
Good quality, all essential amino acids. It doesn't raise your insulin. Yeah, this is what I did to her. I put her on eggs diet. All right. And look, you can cut. Do you think you'll like this? Look, eggs over easy, avocado,
Yes.
spinach,
Yes.
tomatoes. How long do you think it took me to do this? 15 minutes. It's nothing. You don't have to be a chef. And then you can add this kind of cheeses.
Yeah, that
Goat
was
cheese,
good.
ricotta, mozzarella. See, not so processed. Feta cheese.
Yes.
Any cheese but the American cheese, please. That's not, it's an insult, they call it American. It's processed. You know if it stays onto the regular temperature one,
Yeah.
that's not
It don't
cheese.
move.
Yeah. That's actually made from vegetable oil,
Yeah.
that's why.
Yeah.
It actually should be next to the sunflower oil and soybean oil and your canola oil. That's why it's a disaster. But, so what's wrong with this breakfast? Trust me, you'll be full. You can get some nice cheeses. And why do I like goat or feta cheese? You know why? The sheep cheese?
Sharp cheese.
Because I don't care. The goat and sharp cheddar is fine. But the key is you don't have to worry about how the animal is fed because goats and sheep are very picky. They eat grass.
Okay.
So I'll make sure they didn't get the animal feed. Beef sometimes can do. Now if he says grass beef feed, maybe, but who the heck knows? And then you make cheese from it. But I'm just saying if you know it's a good source. But also they are, but the ricotta, mozzarella, are again in lower amounts next to the eggs and this. You do this, that doesn't. You're gonna lose weight and you feel full for another 6 hours. You don't have to snack. Okay.
And if I do that in an omelet, like just
But
with a
not
little
this.
bit of oil, just a little bit, I can make an omelet.
How about butter?
Okay. Well, we
Deal?
good. We're good.
You can
We
use butter.
good.
That good?
Yeah, that's great.
No problem. All right. Here, this is what I'm talking about. Of course, this is nothing else like Velveeta. Has anybody ever done mac and cheese with Velveeta? This is the biggest nightmare. This is like Crisco shortened. Don't. All right, canola oil and everything preservatives you can imagine.
Everything
Okay,
in there.
please don't. Please. You're breaking my heart. Don't do that. All right, we learned. So I did 2 out of 3. How are we doing? An example was to rescue eats for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Okay.
All right, that's it. I showed you how not to do it. Let me show you how to do it. Just 3 slides. Okay. And I showed you the breakfast. That's what I eat for breakfast.
Okay.
Is that easy to do?
It is very easy.
Is that expensive?
No.
No.
Okay,
No,
so
'cause I love
anybody can
feta
do it.
cheese, yeah.
And it takes and do you think it will be tasty?
Yes.
Good. All right. That's better than oatmeal. Now that's nutrition. You see, oatmeal is better than cereals, but there is no nutrition value in it.
Okay.
It's just carbs. There's nothing there. All right?
I thought I was getting some.
I know, right?
We are not designed to do that.
Oh my goodness.
Sorry. Okay. So let me show you what I didn't get to next. But again, this lecture it's on the website, and I'll teach you how to get that. But look, this is you can cook with this. All right. You know, try to get to 5 servings of fruits and vegetables a day. You could even vegetables and all those what we call the brassica or cruciferous, you know, kale, superfoods. You know, it doesn't matter any veggies. And you just cook. You just need you can put it in the oven. You can there is an Instapot that you can put, and you just throw them in the Instapot with your fish or meat, your spices, and a little butter. In 10 minutes, it's done, and it's very tasty. Play with it. You know, it's not that hard, and you can batch cook. You can get a quart or 2 quarts or 4 quarts Instapot, and you can cook so you have the whole week, and then just go back there. You don't even if you're busy.
I notice you don't have asparagus up there.
Anything. No, what I mean vegetable,
Okay.
I have no.
Okay.
Any of them
Mostly
is greens and,
okay.
and it is really. But asparagus is part of that, but see, I just couldn't. I tried to find a website where all of them are inclusive. I wanted to be inclusive, but it's impossible to
Okay.
put them all there. But yes, I agree. And I talk about tuna, I talk about, but I want to show you. Oh, by the way, hospital food is not any healthier, in case you didn't know.
Yeah, we already know.
Okay, please. I have patients who come in the hospital and then they are discharged. Say, oh, don't worry, I know what to do. Every day I'm ordering from your hospital cafeteria food. It's like, oh my God. And then in a week I put him back in the hospital. Okay? No, don't do that. All right? Because this is no food, what you see here. It's basically, what did I say? Deli, sausage, which is vegetable oil, right? And, the pancake there, which is nothing but sugar. That's worse than the oatmeal that I got onto you with that, okay?
Can we eat half that pancake? Just half of one?
Well, you can make healthy pancake.
My God.
Look, you can make
Just half a pancake.
I'm almost done, I'm sorry. No, you're supposed to fall off. So, but here's the example of breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and what it takes.
Yes, yes.
Okay? That's lunch, that's my lunch, that's my dinner. Okay?
Okay.
An example. I mean, you can replace your veggies however you want. Some avocados, you can. It could be a big set. But the idea, you see, the meat is floating on top of a pound of veggies. I'm talking about a pound of veggies, and you start with those.
It's good.
Okay? And you can do that for breakfast, for lunch or dinner. I mean, breakfast can be like that too. It's not a problem. But the idea is to back cook a lot of meat, batch cook a lot of meat how you like it. Whether it's salmon goes away after 2 days, you can't really keep going. But chicken, whatever, beef, whatever you like, and then turkey, and then you just dump it on your big salad for lunch or dinner. Easy to do. And this is an example of dish I showed you breakfast. And stews, easy to do. Salads there. All these are, these are vegetables too that we created in Instapot. And you make a big batch and you have there. This is grilled chicken and salads. And obviously, I don't eat all this chicken there. It was just on the plate because we had a birthday party. And these are examples. You see, this is wild salmon, smoked salmon on a toast, tomatoes, salad. And in salad, we put some beans and peas and whatever you like. All right. So it takes commitment, constant coaching. I had to be on Kurtamisha's case every day. All right? It's hard to do it by yourself. It's easier if you do it with other members in the family, in the community, church, it doesn't matter. Okay? Cooking, it takes cooking. If you don't cook, then you're done. All this I just talked for 2 hours and a half is useless. I mean, it doesn't have to be you, but somebody in the household that will cook. And I think you should pay them big money to do that. Okay? Because that's more investment in your health than anything else that saves you trips from hospitals. Ultra-processed food-free environment at home. So you start by cleaning what you have in your house.
Okay.
Or the juices, or the beverages. I always give it to a neighbor that you hate. And they will think you like them.
They'll think you like them.
They'll be sick from it, but they'll be appreciated. Maybe you will be good, but actually you're not helping them. Yeah. And you start cleaning the house, and then eventually you try to clean where you go, your church, when you have, and you say, hey, today we don't have any food for this amazing birthday party at church because nobody cooked healthy, and that's okay. It's even healthier, and then you can go and have some nice meal that you or somebody else cooked. But it's better to have no food than to have the poison. Okay? And then I said, ideally you want to exercise 45-60 minutes daily. You want to go up on your protein, 80 to 100 grams of protein. This is breakfast examples.
What is that, quinoa?
So really, none of this. It's easy. Boiled eggs, avocado. This is some quinoa.
Okay.
There's nothing wrong with that. Tomatoes, spinach, boiled eggs. Some potatoes, but there's baby potatoes. Those are okay. You can roast them. It takes about 10-15 minutes. All this can be done very fast.
Yeah.
And again, this is the link. If you open your iPhones,
YouTube,
you put so rescue to rescue, and then you go at 3 parts. Part 3 is all about breakfast, lunch, and dinner dishes and that kind of stuff. Okay. And then one treat that you can do, particularly if you're overweight, you want to lose weight or diabetes. Like I told you, eat first a pound of salad. Then you eat white, because the fiber from the salad, it's food for your healthy bacteria, and it traps the sugar and all the starches and the oils that goes down the bladder, so it doesn't get absorbed into your system. Okay? So eat first the salad. Also helps you be food, and you'll be less likely you're going to be hungry later on. And then you do your meats. Always start with the big salads, and fruits at the end after that. Okay? But first, the big greens, fiber is important. You want to go that, and I say a pound. I don't say 2 leaves. Okay? I like when they say BLT, and it's like, are you kidding me? 1 little leaf. That's not going to do. 1 flower does not bring the spring. All right? And lentil soup. All right? The infamous lentil soup. And okay, let's say you go out and you got no choice, but you got to go to Mexico. Fine, you can go to Mexico. Just eat the veggies and the chicken only. Don't touch, and you can put a little salsa. Just don't touch the beverages other than water. Don't touch the chips.
Or the tortillas.
Don't touch, or the tortillas, that's correct. You can eat this, and it's a good choice in that moment if obviously you're out and everybody's eating. Okay? And the same with the burger. Again, you can buy wild salmon, canned pink salmon, that's excellent, and you just dump it on your salad. You don't have to be a chef. Okay? All right? Or you can do the same with sardines. Just get rid of the oil or the water, and then you put it on top of that. They have a lot of omega-3s, very healthy. And look, salad with your proteins could be eggs, boiled eggs. It's not a problem. But you gotta have your proteins there. And what about this?
Yes.
No. No.
No pasta.
I know me and you were not gonna be friends.
That's why you click faster. You went right past
No, I
it.
clicked that because it's eggs.
Oh,
And you can use there's cauliflower rice,
Okay.
which you can use.
What about zucchini?
Zucchini?
Zucchini,
Yeah,
okay.
I don't care. But the
Zucchini
key is
pasta,
you don't
yeah.
want from white starches. White starches are the problem because it's refined from wheat that causes us. Everything is bad for you.
Okay.
And look at this. This can be done easily, and then you can make a big batch, and it will last you the whole week.
Can I
You
make
know,
some
beans-
cornbread with that?
Yeah, you can make some cornbread, just only once, one.
Like the little muffins.
You
Okay.
know. And usually it's easy to cook, high pressure steam. That's very healthy. Okay. This is how you can make your own salad dressing.
Okay.
Olive oil, balsamic vinegar. These are just example of salads that I made for my wife. You can do the same with lemon instead of the balsamic vinegar. And you can add mustard. Okay. Well, even if you don't have free-range chicken, it's still healthier than to do. And then the meats, grass-fed, ideally you want that kind of stuff. So this is an example of dinner, high fiber. You want to heat your high fiber yield with a lot of greens and vegetables. How much salad? I'm telling you the main meal to eat. I like that. Good. And you start eating that first. Okay? Good. Because that traps the sugar, so it flushes down the toilet,
Right.
and it's good for your probiotics, for your healthy bacteria.
Right.
Okay? Good. I like that. And a pound. Why? A pound has enough fiber. We're supposed to eat 30, 40 grams. The more the better, and also it protects you from poisons. And then, you see, these are example dishes. And I have lots more on that if you go to part 3. I eat corn on the cob. Romanians love it. I love it, but I don't, this is homemade bread by my wife. And this was basically, this is from our garden, tomatoes and cucumbers, and then the infamous lentil soup, or bean soup. This is a whole dinner that I have. Trust me, you're so full up to add
Yeah,
your
with the
fats from
avocados.
avocados and you add everything else. Sometimes I don't need meat into it, but you can use the eggs, or you can do it like this.
And the chicken.
Yeah, all right. What about this? Easy Mac, down there you go, veggie burgers, and X.
Exit out.
You don't want. Now, you go out and you have to have a burger. This is how you eat it. You order the salad, get rid of the bun, no ketchup
Okay.
or other dressing, and you eat that, you just a burger, okay? With the salad, okay?
Okay.
That's already, you already cut about 4 out of 5 poisons if you just eat that. Then you only have 1 poison left out because I don't know what kind of burger, what kind of meat and what's coming from. But you cut a lot of disaster by cutting the ketchup, the buns, and oils.
So
okay?
what type of relish is that on top then? What is
I don't
that?
know. It's one of the commercial available stuff. I don't know. I was just giving you an example you can clean up. But again, I wouldn't do this every day. Like every once in a while, you gotta eat out with family or friends, or you don't have anything there. But this should be not an everyday thing. But you can still clean it up. That's what I'm saying. Okay? And this is, I recommend anybody. Mark Hyman is a director of functional medicine, basic and nutrition at Cleveland Clinic, and he's the best. If you want to watch, I'll send you some links. Send you a link also from recipes. There's my wife has checked this website and she looked over most of the recipes and they're very healthy. I'll send you the link so you can share it with everybody. Okay?
You can put him up in flying
Yeah.
sites he's on, yet.
That's right. He has so many. Everything he says is gold. Let me
He
put
does
him.
seminars.
He has about 20 different books. You can start with that, but I'll listen to him. I listen to him in the car. He's the real deal. This is not a joke. Also, Metabolical by Dr. Lustig, which I got most of the science from. Dr. Peter Attia has this How We Live. It's another good book. This is more for geeks about mitochondria. That's me. This is a good book that just came out. Georgia Eatis. She's a nutritional psychiatrist, which basically diet for our brain, how to prevent Alzheimer's and everything. She's phenomenal. Anyway, these are the things, and it's all in your little booklet there at the end. Okay? That's it.
Thank you.